Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Laurie. I am the brother of Robbie, in case you are wondering, and we are here, another DR Sports production, big time boxing, big time YouTube boxing, the Misfits boxing promotion. I've got a very good panel with me today. I'm going to start on my far left, Shane in the house. What are you saying, Shane? Let's give Shane a round of applause.
Thanks for having me, man. Good to be here. Obviously not for the type of fights that we want to be watching, but obviously it's a good fight. Misfits boxing, obviously the good promotion, and KSI is doing well with it. I'm not even going to lie, he sold out the entire arena. I'm pretty sure he done it by himself, so got to give him credit for that.
You've got to give him credit. Next to me, to my left, Nick here. How you feeling, Nick?
I'm good, man. Arsenal going to win the league this year, and yeah, man, we're just here to watch the YouTube boxing. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man.
And to my right, we have in the house. Here he is.
I said it last time, I'll say it again. I'm here for YouTube and vibes only.
He's the YouTube boxing genius. So he's the guy we go to. He's the box rec for YouTube.
He's also very knowledgeable. We speak a lot, and he's very knowledgeable about boxing and UFC and all that. Right? So he's the perfect guest to have along. So let's start, man, with Shane. What are you looking forward to seeing tonight? We're about to see Salt Pappy versus Josh Bruckner. Tell us a little bit about this fight, bro.
I mean, personally, I don't know neither of those fighters, but I've obviously Salt Pappy is the person who everybody's talking about because obviously his transition, and obviously he's the one that they say has the best technique. Aesthetically, he might not look the most pleasing, but obviously us knowing boxing, we know the fighters that have the best aesthetic doesn't always equal having the skills or the accomplishments to actually fight at the top level.
I'm looking at Salt Pappy now as he's making his ring entrance, and I've got to say, man, he looks more than a little nerdy. So, but that doesn't mean to say he can't fight. Kane, tell us a little bit about Salt Pappy.
He's had a good journey. He's probably one of the most charismatic in the YouTube boxing game, but he's lost so much weight since his first fight. He can actually fight quite well. He's exactly what you want in YouTube boxing. He's just fun. He'll do a bit.
He looks confident.
Having a little dance.
He's doing a little jig there.
So.
Yeah.
He's Filipino, bro. They can do everything, them Filipino brothers. I swear down, like they do everything. Sing, dance, box, everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna call him Salt because I ain't calling no man. I ain't calling no man daddy on the YouTube stage, but man can't do all that, bro.
He looks confident though. I've got to give him that.
I think, remember before we watched him fight and he was really slick with his style. So now he's lost weight. It's going to be interesting to see, like,
he doesn't look like a cruiser.
If he can be even slicker. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, one of the things, like, especially at this level, what you're going to see is either fighters be really over-aggressive and in gas, or fighters be extremely timid and go within themselves. One thing I do see is once they get into the ring and they start getting comfortable, they actually start to breathe and take a moment to actually take their time with things. So more importantly, I actually want to see him actually have a process. Like, you can imagine their ring, the dudes in the corner with them not really giving them much instructions or advice. It's pretty much just go out and entertain. Whereas as you start to fight more, I hope they start to learn about themselves and their strengths and weaknesses more. And I hope that they start to pace themselves and we actually start getting more even fights, you know, not just these bar scraps that we've been getting.
Yeah.
Ones.
I'll tell you what I've noticed on that as well is that there is this, maybe it's because the guys are not all properly schooled, but they do tend to, as soon as the bell goes, they go out and it's almost like it's nervous energy. They just let their hands go. There isn't much defense or anything like that going on. And I always think to myself, if I was training a guy to compete in these events, what I would be training them, obviously you're getting them fit and you try and get them to understand the fundamentals. But one thing I would say to any fighter that was competing in this kind of boxing is, if you are defensively responsible, you can win a lot of fights just by knowing how to defend yourself. Because a lot of the guys, they come out, they're in a rush to let their hands go. Like Shane says, they gas out after a minute or two, and then they're done.
Sorry to cut you off. You were going to say
Looking
anything.
At Salt Pappy here, it's no
like
AJ, is it?
One of the main things that I see is I can't remember seeing a YouTube boxer actually hold his feet. You know, like actually hold center ring and not just do this on their toes, almost herky-jerky style. You know, I actually want to see someone hold their feet and actually breathe and be calm. You know, we see a lot of, as soon as this fight's going to start, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. Just rushing in 100% energy. There isn't much calm-headed, level-headed fighters, which I would love to see transition into this YouTube boxing.
But it's
I'll
the
tell you
thing.
what,
The
if
thing
it
it's
was-
all,
if
it's
it
all
was-
narratives of this, though, isn't it? Like it's not. It's all narratives of this. It's all storylines for their. So this is not their bread and butter, right? They have so big social media platforms, and this is like a secondary thing that they do. Whereas when you're a professional boxer, that's the primary thing that
Facts.
you do. Do you know what I mean? So that's why it's so different.
Salt Pappy, before this started, I hadn't heard of him as a YouTuber. From the YouTube boxing, he's become
Got
like
you.
the guy. So
No,
it's worked so well on where he's
I've
got
seen
the
his videos.
casuals.
He does like the fake running videos. They're actually quite funny.
He's southpaw
I'll tell you what,
as
if
well.
they were
He's
awarding the
southpaw.
fights based on appearance alone, then Salt Puppy's lost. Because he's clowning already after a few
You
seconds.
sound like an AJ fan.
Yes, he's southpaw.
This is a bit Ruiz versus AJ.
It is
Looking
Ruiz
at it.
versus AJ,
One
yeah, for
guy
sure.
very sculpted, the other guy very fleshy and flabby.
Yeah,
That
Josh's in
doesn't
great
always-
shape, isn't he?
Yeah.
I won't lie to you. We haven't spoken
showboating.
much about the other guy, but one thing I will say about him is he's actually pretty correct with his feet. You know, he's actually doing the right things you're supposed to do against a
Looks a
southpaw.
bit stiff though.
Well, I
He's
think
very much so.
Kane said that he's had some MMA.
He's got a history in
experience.
MMA. I think he had 6 fights.
You could, I mean,
Yeah.
he is stiff like Laurie said, but I mean, I personally think he's actually got a correct posture.
Does he walk
especially
around like
against a
this, like,
southpaw.
shape-wise, Kane?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
He always seems to
shape.
be in good.
Yeah,
I think his like social personality is
yeah, you're right.
very
actually, yeah.
fitness based.
Yeah, he's a fitness guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it might damage some of his fitness subscriptions if, because they say like when AJ lost to Ruiz, he killed about 1 million gym subscriptions, didn't he?
I mean,
yeah, this is what Salt Pappy's going to do. He's going to try and sit and catch him on the counter and rope him in. Do you know what I mean?
One
He's-
thing I would say about Salt Pappy, and take it from me, this is someone who's boxed in the past, I can attest to this, is that he's very relaxed in there. And the more relaxed, you don't want to be too relaxed to the
Yeah.
point where you lose concentration, but if you're more relaxed, it suits you in every way.
Facts.
You can punch harder, you can punch faster, you tire out less quicker. See,
Yep.
Josh Bruckner's looking a little bit ungainly there.
He's a Filipino Prince Nassim, isn't he? That's the vibes he's giving.
And one thing which you said is correct is anyone who's ever fought, they will tell you when you're not relaxed and you go into an exchange, you close your eyes and swing.
Yeah, yeah.
When you're relaxed, you always keep your eye on the target, what's coming at you and what you're throwing. So that's something that I can always see. If you look at his eyes is always open on the target. Even though he's doing a lot of kidology, his eyes is always on the target. So that's a very good trait to have.
That's a great word, kidology, because all of that, what people don't realize is all of that style and laughing and smiling, that's part of the fight. That is all just a ways to show your opponent that you're confident and you're relaxed.
I mean,
that is very much part of the fight.
Tyson Fury beat Klitschko just off kidology. He
There
didn't
you
really
go.
land much punches. He just basically stuck his tongue out on one.
Defense
12
really
rounds.
good from Salt as well. Just, do you know what I mean? Just closing that guard, eating some of those shots, and then smiling on the way back out. Do you
This
know
is
what I
like a professional first round, though. If you think about it, very, very circumspect by both fighters.
Yeah. Credit to Josh as well. He's just kind of keeping his distance, trying to get the jabs in, trying to keep his distance, and he's just boxing sensible. They're both boxing for their skill set.
Right, at the end of the first round, let's start with Kane. Who do you give that first round to?
I give it Salt Pappy for the vibes. He's doing
For the
well.
vibes.
Even just the showboating.
I love that.
Especially in YouTube boxing. If you're showboating that much and you're getting away with it, I just think you've got
I'm
the edge.
going with Salt Pappy. I think he showed more ring generalship. I mean, there wasn't a lot in it. There wasn't a whole lot of punches landed, but the punches that were landed, the most decent ones came from him, and I thought he has what they call ring generalship over
very
Josh
much
Bruckner. So yeah, I'm going to go with Salt Pappy for that.
Yeah, I'd say Salt as well. I mean, he shows less visible damage. Josh's body looks a bit battered and bruised, and it's unfortunate for some people that are maybe paler or like redheaded kind of skin because they do bruise up quite easily. So it looks sometimes worse than it is. But yeah, definitely, I agree. It's Salt for the first round.
I mean,
And
I think
Shane, you've got Shane and Kane.
it was a difficult round to score because not much punches landed. But just off ring generalship, I'll give it to Salt. I just think.
In case those of you out there are wondering what we call ring generalship is what they call a guy that appears to have things under control, the centre of the ring.
And he dictates where his opponent's
dictating
going.
the pace and dictating the way the fight is going. They call that ring general.
It's almost like in football where you have a person just keeping possession and manoeuvring the defence. Basically, that's the same thing.
Thomas Partey.
basically. I give you that one. He walked onto a good shot there, though.
I'm not sure what Salt's complaining about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's
He
good
walked
shot,
onto
and
a really good shot there.
he's complaining. He didn't like that at all.
But now, if I'm, what's the other?
Josh.
If I'm Josh, I would have taken advantage of that. Whenever I see someone complain to the ref, you got to step on them straight away. That's just.
I think the
period.
southpaw style of Salt Pappy is giving Josh Bruckner a bit of trouble, actually.
Yeah, because he can't quite get
land his
through.
jab,
Yeah, can't get through.
That's another thing that people need to understand is when you're southpaw, on orthodox, the hardest punch for you to land is the orthodox jab. So you really got to get your left foot on the outside of your opponent's right foot, and he's not really doing that right now.
And what he's not doing as well, he's not pulling that jab down. He keeps trying to jab, but he's just got to put his hand away. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
That's
down.
a great counter
He's down,
punch.
a great
That's a
There was
a bit of a
great
slip
counter
to it.
punch.
There was a bit of a
that
slip
was, that was a
That was a
legit
great
punch.
counter
If you
punch.
look at the feet,
He looks hurt, though.
That's a great
You're
counter.
saying that, he's not going to get up.
The reason I know it's a good counter.
He's out.
Oh, it's done.
And
Wow.
Shane said he would.
Wow. The reason I knew it was a good counter is because he didn't complain. Josh
Yeah.
himself didn't say that was. He was just gathering himself. That was a great
So
counter
there
punch.
you have it. We said at the start of the show, it's not about how much muscles you got and how you look. It's what you can do, how you can fight.
Got a cool-
Salt Pappy,
great
got to say,
counter-punch.
that was a great counter punch. He waited for him to overextend with the jab. He landed a
Mayweather,
left
Ricky
cross
that
down, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Kane,
that
what do you
pull
say, bro?
counter.
I mean, it's what I expected. It's what he does every time. It's kind of he'll take an opponent a little bit better each time, and just
Yeah.
every time he does that.
I
think
you,
he's
may,
one where-
you may know this. Has he must have boxed before as an amateur or something.
Not before the YouTube properly.
He's got boxing
think-
experience, though. I think that you can see that.
I think he had a tiny bit,
yeah.
but it definitely wasn't like enough.
No, I'm not
build.
saying he's a
No,
pro
he-
or anything.
He's
but
progressed really in the last probably 2-3 years, whatever it's been now. He's progressed really well.
Plus, the Philippines have a rich history of boxing. Do you know what I mean? And good class of coaches. It's not like, I don't know, in England or America where you might get some poser from social media that's going to. These guys know their stuff.
But compared to the fight that we just saw before this
Pineda.
fight, we were watching Pineda and we watched Swarms' fight. I think it's
You've
fair
got
to
a
say
Swarms
that
t-shirt on underneath that.
This is what I was overly impressed with, which I know why you asked that question of does he have boxing background, is because if you even look at the entire process, that didn't look amateurish to me.
No.
That didn't look. Obviously, a lot of his punches was a bit out there, but if you actually look at the process, you can actually see that there's actually
Look
a
at this, look at
process
this
to
Counter,
it.
bang,
Oh,
that's
very
clean.
good.
that is a clean shot,
Clean
landed
shot.
right on the button.
But-
I'm telling you now, that is a good finish.
It's the punches you don't see that knock you out. And
Waited.
like exactly what you mentioned, Josh has gone in and he's closed his eyes a
closed
little
his
bit.
eyes.
He's closed his eyes a little bit because he's not quite comfortable in there. And as he swings, and like you
But
said,
look at his eyes. His
Yeah.
eyes is on the
yeah,
target.
you know, you're spot on.
You know, if you do pad work, they always tell you to keep your eyes on the pads. That's something that you have to do. He didn't take his eyes off the target.
But you know what impressed me about that as well? He waited for him to commit.
yeah.
He timed the shot, landed it perfectly on the chin. And unfortunately for Josh Bruckner, that's all she wrote.
That's
He'd
what
stopped the showboating for quite a bit before as well, and I think Josh thought, "Oh, I've got him here."
It was when he
I've
got hit.
him.
It's when he got hit and he didn't
I've
like
hit him,
it.
and he stopped showboating. I'm obviously on top now, and I think he's probably just kind of
We-
backed
we
off
got,
a little bit and regretted it.
A comment here from Himfieldy. Hope I was pronouncing your name right. He's saying that Salt Pappy has boxed for more than 8 years.
There you
Fair
go.
enough.
Hey,
Fair
So
enough.
there you go. I could see
You
it,
can
bro.
see that.
I mean, as a man, I've boxed before, decent level as an amateur. When I see somebody that's displaying those type of skills, I know
You don't get
that's
that
not my
overnight.
good
You don't
fortune.
get that overnight.
Yeah,
You don't
so
get that
I could
overnight.
see that he's boxed.
And for all the years that I've been boxing, most of the time people get knocked out. It's not necessarily the power of the punch,
No.
right? It's about
It's the timing.
getting hit and the timing and not seeing it coming. Your brain can't brace itself for the impact, and that's what knocks people out a lot of the time.
For the most part, yeah, definitely.
I mean, look at the two of them. Not being funny there. You got Salt Pappy, looks very rotund, almost Pillsbury Doughboy looking. 5'8", 9", although
you
they're
fight him?
saying he's 5'10".
Did you fight him?
Not right now.
If-
I'm giving away about
But
30 years.
We see this all the time. Like literally,
all
we
the
see
time.
if you follow boxing on a weekly basis, we
Yeah.
literally see this all the time. This is something that does not surprise me at all. I would always say muscles is more of a hindrance in boxing than a help. 100%. You know, I don't really see. You know, you rarely see a really athletic, muscly built boxer who can stand the test of time. You know, obviously Tyson was one, but there isn't many fighters that stand the test of time as overly muscular and sculptured like we had Josh over there. So don't really think it was to his benefit being that muscular. But he's fighting someone who's got 8 years of boxing experience. So, I mean, I would love to see him fight like at a higher level.
There's not going to be many YouTube boxers that will want to fight him now.
I mean,
There's not that many left.
He's
Can't
working his way up to KSI, isn't he?
can't
Really?
he fight KSI?
I don't know if he's got. I think he has to work his way up to KSI in terms of like platform and like profile and stuff. But
KSI thought that whatever that dude's name
Pineda,
was, yeah.
But that was part of a 2-in-1 package, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because he's fought.
That was
Swarms
just like the
same night.
bonus to Swarms.
Fair enough.
Right, we're making our way through the fights.
Does he
up
still
to
look
the-
geeky to you with those glasses? That's
It still looks geeky, but
that's
you
the
got-
swag.
But listen, appearances can be very deceptive.
Facts.
You want to be careful.
Nah,
like,
that's-
a man might
that's-
see him on road and think, yeah.
That's how the cool boys dress now, man.
Exactly.
You're
I
out of the
mean,
loop, man.
You imagine him in with Swarms, he would annihilate.
And that,
Oh, 100%.
And Swarms is your so-called roadman. Salt Pappy would
But
deal with him
Roadman
less
ain't
than
famous for fighting and boxing and taking time in the gym to perfect their craft, are
but
they?
if I'm being honest, I actually want to talk about that Swarms fight. And this is no
That was a joke
disrespect
to
to
him.
Swarms. The
That's a joke.
rules of boxing, you did not win that fight.
didn't, yeah.
No, he
You
didn't
did not win the fight. The rules of boxing says if a referee stops a fight in the first 4 rounds without a clean punch being landed, that is a no
I think
contest.
the punch did land, actually.
But it was a head clash. The thing that he got hurt from.
Showing
Looking at
that
that,
camera again.
That's a
assault,
really good
that is
shot.
a very impressive punch, I got
That was a really good shot. But
Look,
at
it's-
first I
look at
thought
that.
their
See
legs
that? He
tangled.
made him commit,
but it
bang!
didn't. I thought their legs tangled, but it didn't at all. It was just clean
No,
shot.
that's a clean shot.
That's
bro.
where when you get on the inside, that's where you can make it work for you if you've got shorter limbs than somebody else, because Josh has got longer range, but once he throws that jab and Salt Pappy gets on the inside of that, then he knows he's got so much space that
Definitely.
counter punch is so short,
you know what that
but he can
remind-
step right into it.
That reminded me of when Ward fought Kovalev and Ward got dropped. That same straight crossed your body. Obviously, it was orthodox, but that's a shot that you always have to watch out for. When
I'll tell you what that reminded me of, a more recent example, and hopefully some of the viewers out there might have seen the fight. A couple of months ago, Gervonta Davis versus Rolly Romero. Same type of
Facts.
thing. Waited
Yeah.
for the guy to throw a punch, he overcommitted, left the gap, countered through the space.
Pat and Mayweather, man, I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
that
Yeah,
was
Pat
Southpaw
Mayweather,
Orthodox
yeah.
as well. Rowley and Javonte
Yeah,
Davis, Southpaw
yeah.
Orthodox as well. So
Very impressive, got to say, man. And yeah.
How old is this guy? Do you know?
I don't.
Curious as to how old he is to see like how far he can actually go, because he's got a lot of the. Well, you spoke about the fundamentals. A lot of the fundamentals are there. Do you know what I mean? So
Some guy said Vid O'Reilly, Dave 109 says Vid O'Reilly destroys them all. But Vid O'Reilly
Vid O'Reilly is a boxer.
He's a professional. He's a professional.
You'd expect that. Yeah.
So you can't really compare the two.
I mean, you have to compare Video Riley to pros. You know,
Yeah.
he's not really a YouTube box, even though he does have a YouTube channel.
For those of you in the comments asking, we're building up to the main event, which is KSI. We're not sure what time that fight's going to go ahead. There may be
10:45 ring walk.
It's scheduled, yeah. But at the moment, we're just seeing Salt Pappy being interviewed by the people in the studio there. Yeah, man, impressive.
More gym memberships down the drain, man. That's what I'm saying.
I tell you what, they need to take up the memberships, learn how to box, you see.
Yeah, that's true.
It's all right having a gym
That's
membership.
true. Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you want to learn how to box, I mean, this is a martial
Because like you were
art.
saying, a lot of the top 10 hardest punches of all time, maybe three of them are really muscular. The rest of
Literally.
them are quite tall and slim.
Muscles doesn't equal punch power.
No,
it doesn't.
It does not equal punch power. There's so much other, like mechanically, that
Yeah.
goes into landing a power punch and a knockout punch. There's so much more that goes into it.
It's timing, it's speed. Some guys are just naturally powerful.
Literally, like,
Yeah.
He's 28, Mr. Salt. We won't call him Salt Pappy. So Mr.
Yeah,
Mr. Salt.
Mr. Salt.
Mr. Salt.
Yeah.
He looks older now, I've got to say. Although he does have a slightly baby face, but his whole appearance looks possibly older than somebody
you
at
said
28.
that a lot of these fighters, they don't see it as their main occupation. But in a situation like this, where you got someone who does have raw talent,
He's one of them where he's a bit more. He takes it more seriously than a lot of them do. So you'd almost put him where he's not just a YouTuber,
Yeah.
but he's not a boxer. He's just that somewhere in the middle where he's kind of got to figure out.
Okay. Do you think it depends on how big their social media platform is? Because if you are somebody like the size of a Jake Paul who does so much stuff across social media, he he puts a lot of time into his boxing, but the money he makes from his boxing isn't going to dwarf the money he makes somewhere else. Whereas for someone like Mr. Salt, it's massive.
It could
really grow his platform.
Could.
Exactly.
Because I think someone of that level could maybe not turn professional.
Yeah.
Definitely not turn professional. But I do think he can reach the level where he's at how can I say, he's competing at least with the KSIs and the Jake Pauls. I think he will beat Logan Paul. And you do have fighters who were pro and then retire. And then you can see him fighting one of those fighters who are retired.
I think he'd have to drop some weight, though. I mean, he came in tonight as a cruiserweight. I mean, I've got to say, he doesn't look...
You think he should be like 168 or something like that?
I mean, whether he can get down to that weight or not, whether he would even want to, he probably, if you talk to him, he'd probably say, no, man, I'm all right as I am.
That's the thing. However, it's hard to talk someone into improving when they're winning. Do you know what I mean? As far as he's concerned,
no, not so much talking about improvement. I'm talking about the weight.
No, but I'm saying losing weight is improving. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know... Like change, maybe not improving, but changing something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's hard to talk somebody into a change. If it's not broke, why would I?
He could stay as he is, stay in the YouTube boxing. He could do 20 events and go unbeaten.
Yeah.
If he wants to, he could settle at that level.
With the right
comfortably do it.
With the right match. I mean, there's not much boxers I've seen in the YouTube boxing that's as pleasing as him when it comes to the mechanics
One of the
of
guys
it.
that I like in the YouTube boxing that's coming up next is who I was actually going to say I want to see Mr. Salt fight next if he wins, and that's Slim. I would quite like to see Mr. Salt fight Slim.
Yeah, you know what? I've got to say, that guy, Slim...
Because he's fighting next against Tom Zanetti, and this was before I got here. I thought this is my pick for what I think is probably going to be fight of the night.
I put Slim in that group as well. Of almost too good for the YouTubers,
but not quite pro.
He's
exactly.
at that same kind of level as well.
That's why if Slim can get a win against Tom Zanetti, and I think Tom Zanetti is quite athletic as well. Probably more athletic than Slim, but Slim's probably more technical. I would quite like to see Mr. Salt and Slim have a fight because they've got such... I think their styles could make for a really interesting fight.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And we know that...
Get me on the matchmaking, man. What we doing, man? You know what I'm saying?
Why don't you get in there to fight?
I'm overweight, man. I'll get in there to fight, I don't mind. Yeah.
For that paycheck,
Salt
though, innit?
Papi's
100%.
background is Filipino. Slim, I think he's Yemeni. He's actually trained by...
Saddam Ali.
Yeah, Saddam Ali, who's a former professional world champion.
World champion, yeah.
Very good
He beat
amateur.
Cotto, Miguel Cotto
He
as
did
well.
to win the world title, yeah. He subsequently lost it in his first defence, but he's a
Jaime
former world
Munguia beat him,
champion.
yeah.
Love Miguel Cotto, one of my favourite fighters of all
Yeah,
time.
well, Saddam Ali beat him.
I know.
Yeah.
And he trained Slim. And I must admit, I saw Slim's last fight. I forget who he was against.
We were watching
he
it here.
I mean, yeah.
We
He
were watching
fought
it here.
Temper, who KSI is.
That's who
okay,
it was,
right,
you're right.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
why that doesn't make sense?
It's Temper's a last minute replacement. KSI was meant to fight a MMA fighter,
Dylan
and
Dennis.
yes, and he pulled out a couple of weeks ago. So Temper's a replacement fighter.
Let me ask Shane. 'Cause
Suspicious.
Shane knows about these things, man. The common consensus is that Dylan Dennis swallowed it, bottled it, to use another term. What do you think?
I think there's a lot of people that think he wasn't ever gonna fight and he had no intention of it, and I do kind of get it because even when he never took the training seriously, the weight loss he never took seriously. He didn't turn up to press.
Was that because he knew he was going to get...
He didn't even have a coach for the whole thing. He was just training himself. So it never looked like he was taking it seriously, and it was almost just using KSI for clout. And now you've had a few people that were supposed to fight
Sounds
KSI
familiar.
have then dropped out. It's a bit of a theme now where it's just, I'll put my name in the headlines for a few months and then just drop out.
Okay.
I don't know about that situation. I don't really understand why you would go that route. I mean, I understand obviously from a publicity perspective, but if you were actually going into fight, wouldn't that equal more publicity?
Well, I mean, let's face it, if he goes in there and he gets embarrassed and knocked out, then it's a long way back. Mind
Yeah,
you,
if he's a
Swarms,
fighter.
he got embarrassed in his first fight.
No, but Dylan's a fighter, right?
Exactly.
He's still actively fighting, or is he not?
No, he's not actively fighting. I think his claim to fame is that, wasn't he training with Conor McGregor?
He trained Conor McGregor, then he went into Bellator and did a little bit
Yeah.
there.
So that could
not-
actually
he's not-
lost
he's not an
the
actual
but
His
the-
whole personality is I'm the shit, I'm the bad guy, I'm the villain, I'm the shit talker. It's almost he's built not off his fighting, just off his personality.
So
more
that
than
for someone with a platform like that, a loss is more damaging to his overall brand than it is to someone like Swarms, who Swarms is
A rapper.
he's a rapper, but he's also trying to make himself like the Floyd Mayweather of, with all the dancing and stuff that he was doing in the showboating when it was he didn't even win the fight. I'm not having that at all. But like he's making it so people don't like him on purpose, so that they come and pay to watch him lose.
Dylan's also part of like Jake Paul's side, and there's always been the things where everyone KSI fights has like builds a connection to Jake Paul, and then
In
they drop
some
out.
way, yeah.
I think KSI's building up to Jake Paul. He needs the fights to get there. So there's always that kind of stuff of Jake Paul's just trying to fuck with him. And
Do you think Jake Paul and KSI will actually fight?
Yes.
You think that fight
yeah.
would actually
Yeah.
happen?
I think just the money it will make them. They'll both. They'd be stupid to turn it down.
They're already in business
yeah,
together,
they're
aren't
already
they? So
talking about it now for end of the year, and I think it will come.
Do you think then, at any stage, and this is just a general question, at any stage, any of these dudes will actually fight a real, and I'm not going to say the Pineda guy's not a real professional, a real proper professional.
I think once-
Jake Paul is on the verge of fighting Tommy Fury, isn't he?
I believe that when I see that.
Well, first of all, do we put
I
Tommy
don't
Fury
put
in
Tommy
the
Fury
bracket
in that, no.
of
I
real
put Tommy
professional
Fury
boxer?
in the YouTuber bracket now.
I would say so.
I mean,
I think
no,
but,
violence.
no, but
he's a social media guy who boxes. I'm not having him as a professional
Tommy
boxer.
Fury fought Anthony Taylor, who was on the first one here, and he's like 5'8", 5'9". Tommy Fury's obviously built, couldn't knock him down.
No, but
And then
Tommy
you look
Fury
at-
does hold a professional boxing license. And
So
he
does
has had
Pineda.
So does
number of
Pineda.
fights.
Pineda.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Tommy's-
I'm saying-
I would put them in the same bracket.
Tommy's one where because you need kind of that storyline to get in there. His storyline was the brother, then he had the Love Island. So he's become a professional and got these fights, but his
got it through his social
personality's
media.
been through
Yeah.
that
YouTube,
rather than
yeah.
his actual boxing skill. And I think Tommy's now hit that point where he knows, right, I'm not going to be a good boxer. He's better off getting in a YouTube game where
I
if he
agree.
fights Jake Paul, the payout is more than anything he'll ever get
Yeah,
in
from
normal
a
boxing.
commercial perspective, he's not going to get
I
more
mean,
than 50 grand.
he knows his
But-
level.
But the thing about
That's a
Tommy
fact.
Fury, when he's interviewed, you will always hear him say, "I want to be taken seriously as a professional."
He's got to walk the talk. Do you know what I mean? I want to be seen as 6'5", but I'm not. I mean, you can't just. You have to be what you are.
I think with Tommy before, at one point he went, I won't fight you for less than $1 million or whatever it is. Then he's gone, oh, I'll fight you for free for charity. And then he's backtracking.
In
He says
fairness,
that is a Fury thing,
That's
though.
what I was
That
gonna-
is a
I was-
Fury
fuck
thing.
bro,
He sells
bro.
so
That
many
is a
different
Fury
things that
thing.
Their
you
whole
don't know what to
family's
listen
like
to.
that.
Yeah.
Even I know Tyson's got the belts, but they're all like that. They
They're
just
all
walk
like
around
that.
in circles. They play the media better than anybody else.
I mean-
But this
I
guy
mean-
is not a proper boxer.
Also,
Isn't
Louis
the dad
Theroux and
like that
Astrid
as
Wett
well?
together is mad.
Who, sorry?
Louis Theroux and Astrid Wett together at the boxing is the weirdest combination ever.
But look how much
This
celebrities
is the
are
thing
there.
about these events, isn't it? They bring together a collection of celebrities and YouTube personalities and so forth. I mean, I'm looking at the crowd there. Seriously, I mean, that is a very impressive crowd. I don't know
Laurie,
what the actual attendance is, but it looks like it's sold out to me.
Laurie, what makes a real boxer? In your professional opinion,
Well, what makes a real boxer is if you've got a professional boxing license.
I don't believe that, but can you?
No, I'm
I
not
don't
talking
agree
about
with that.
skills. I'm talking about if you hold, let's be honest, it's very simple. If you hold a professional boxing license, then you are a professional boxer. So you are, regardless of how good or bad you are a
The
professional
reason why I don't necessarily
Severus KSI is a
agree-
real boxer.
because
Logan
it
Paul's a real
doesn't.
boxer.
There isn't.
Sorry, I'll answer that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, make sure he answers.
There isn't a like I can eventually sign up to a commission and get a boxing license if I have enough pull and have enough money.
No, that's not the case.
No, that is the
Nowadays,
case.
you have to have a certain level of competency.
No, that's not true.
No,
though.
you do.
That is not
You
true.
do. You do. You actually do need to be as if you. Okay,
But that
no,
like football, that
okay.
levels varies across. different
Yeah, of
geographies.
course it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's subjective. But
So
you
he
do-
could go to Mexico where Pineda got
I
a
think
license.
No, I'm
Pineda took
talking
L
about
after
in this
L after
country.
L, and then
I'm
fought
talking about in this
KSI
country.
and just
I'm talking about
panicked.
in this country.
Oh, in this
you have to
country.
have a certain level of. There have been quite a few. Because if you remember a few years ago, for example, and this is just off the top of my head, Rio Ferdinand, when he retired from football, was expressing interest in becoming a professional
Yep.
boxer. He was assessed and he was declined because
Yeah.
his competency levels were not that of a professional boxer. So it's not true to say anyone can get a
But
license.
do we
You
not
can't.
watch boxing? And there is multiple commissions around the world where
No,
you
no,
can
but I'm
get a
talking this country.
I
I
get
was-
you,
yeah.
but
These events are international, though.
the reason why I'm
No, but this is not real boxing, as far as I'm
but
concerned.
why
This
is it
misfit boxing?
Why is this not real boxing?
The clue is in the name, misfit boxing. It's not proper.
I
boxing.
don't believe it's real boxing, but I want to know why you think it's
Real,
not real
no, but
boxing.
real to me, And to me, it's fairly obvious. Real boxing is professional boxing.
Okay, but here's the thing though. We could end up in a scenario where Tommy Fury, I don't take him seriously as a boxer. Tommy Fury goes into professional boxing, real boxing, so you call it, York Hall, wins a couple of fights, but goes on a YouTube show for Misfit Boxing and loses fights.
Yeah, that scenario is definitely possible.
Okay.
I feel,
Sorry, what was your question? Sorry, Kane?
Because KSI and Logan Paul, see, they went professional for theirs. So they've got the license. So would you class KSI as a real boxer now?
no,
I would definitely class Jake Paul as a real boxer.
I wouldn't.
But
What's the
KSI and
difference?
Logan.
What's the distinction?
Because Jake Paul's got a license in America and he's fought at a certain level, which would people would say he is a proper boxer.
That's not. To me, I disagree with that.
No, but exactly, that's to you. I'm saying that the definition of a boxer.
But we can go by definitions all the way around the board. As I said, Pineda has a boxing license, so it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, but he is a boxer. You saw that tonight when he fought a guy that wasn't a boxer.
But
he destroyed him.
The reason why there has to be a level of quality control. If I want to be a professional football player, I can't say I'm a professional football
That's the
player.
thing with this versus football.
Do you think KSI isn't a real boxer?
He's not.
But
What I would say about he's reached a certain level that if he was to apply for a professional license, I
because he
think
got
would
one to
get
fight
one.
Logan,
Yeah,
because
he
they
would
went
get
professional
one.
for that.
I think he would get one, but until he does that,
He's already got one.
He
said
got
already
one in America to fight Logan Paul. They went fully professional. They did it all legit. They made it all. It was all like properly done.
Yeah.
Well,
He's
if he holds- okay,
he's
so
done
if he
that,
holds
and then
a
he's fought Pineda and embarrassed him.
So
Was that under professional or no?
I don't think that one was under professional.
This is what I would
Obviously,
say.
Pineda
This
is.
is what I would say makes a professional. A professional boxer, by my standards, is someone who fights other professionals. That's what I would say.
No, but
they're not fighting other professionals.
But Shane, hold on. You're right, but you're missing the point. In order to fight other professional fighters, you need to have a professional license. So until you get that, you are not professional.
No, but he's
fighter.
saying if you look at someone like Tommy Fury, for example, who has a professional license but is not fighting professional boxers,
But
he's
he,
fighting
ha-
other
but he
YouTubers.
is.
but he has
He
fought
is.
professional
He has in the
fighters.
past, but like I said,
If you go on Box,
going
you'll
forward,
see he's got a professional.
I appreciate that, but I'm
record.
saying
He's
going
never fought
for
anyone good.
Going for, like, for me, this is the thing. Like when we're looking at this boxer thing, what we don't have is like the Premier League, Championship,
There's
League
no
One, League Two.
quality control.
There's no quality control, like you said. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Shane, you keep saying that. That is your opinion. That argument is redundant. If you have a professional boxing license, you are a professional boxer.
Yeah,
Okay,
but I'm
that's
saying,
fine.
I'm
You
saying,
cannot,
okay,
you
look, if you've got
cannot,
Tommy
you cannot
Fury,
say, "Oh, I don't rate him."
No.
I don't know how
Listen,
he got it.
If you got Tommy Fury, he's a professional boxer. He's
Yeah.
fought
So
plenty
whether
of times.
we rate
One
him
second,
or
one
not,
second.
he's a professional boxer.
Going forward now, let's say he spends the next 2 or 3 years doing 2 or 3 of these shows every year, making big money doing this. That's 9 fights that he's had across 3 years. How old's Tommy Fury? 23, something like that. He gets to 26. How long does he stay known? How long does he juice this? I'm a professional boxer if he stops competing. Do you know what I mean? Because these guys
Yeah, but with
want
respect,
that clout.
that's a separate argument.
That's the question I'm asking you though, because a lot of these guys want
Okay,
that
I'll
clout.
answer it,
Because
but it's
a
a
lot of these
separate
guys
argument.
want that clout of I'm fighting a pro boxer, but how long does he stay
This
that?
is the thing, though. I'm not arguing with you by definition. The definition of what you're saying, facts. I can't argue with a definition. That if you have a pro license, you are a pro boxer. That's fine. But regardless of how you want to make it seem, it doesn't make a difference. If you're not fighting other pros,
Does make a
what's the
difference.
wait?
Does
What's
make a
one second? One second. What's the point of having a professional license if you're not fighting professionals? Please tell me that. What's
Because
the
you can make, sometimes you can make more, well, a lot of the time you can make more money in this area of boxing.
But then why
than
have
you-
a license then?
Because you could do both.
But they're not doing both.
They
so
are
how
doing both.
How are they doing both?
KSI's got a pro record of 3-0-0.
But they're not fighting professionals. That's what I'm
no,
saying.
but
I'm
to
looking
you.
for Tommy Fury's next professional
Shane,
fight.
they can cross over.
But
into
they
both.
haven't though.
No, but they
haven't.
have.
If they're not fighting other pros, they're just getting a pro license to fight other YouTubers. That's not professional boxing. It's professional boxing by definition, but they're not fighting other pros.
I hear that because KSI, his pro record is 1 because his only actual fully pro one was the second Logan Paul fight. So him and Logan Paul both went pro.
Just for that
It was
fight?
both their debuts.
I think
so in
what
that
Shane,
sense,
I
it
think
is-
Shane is, with respect, I think you are muddying the waters. You're assessing them on skills
No,
and competence.
I haven't met anything about
And
skill.
what I'm talking about is the fact if you have a professional, if you've been granted a license by the British Boxing Board of Control as a professional boxer, you're a professional boxer. Now, whether we think you're any good or not, that is
But
immaterial.
I'm not
And I
saying.
think you need to,
No, but
like-
this is the thing. Even if KSI fought someone who's 7 and 70, I will still consider him as a pro because you fought a professional boxer.
So what is your argument then?
My argument is there is no point going pro if you're fighting another YouTuber. That
Why?
doesn't make sense.
It's
What's
monetary.
the point of But you can get money by not turning pro.
No, but you could get more money by fighting these guys because of.
But you don't have to turn pro to fight these guys.
What,
Yeah,
what are
but
the, what are the
you get
comments
the
say?
best
What's the
of
man
both
them saying in the
worlds.
chat?
Well, I'm not going to tell you what they said about Shane because they're not into impress.
They don't have to. It's the thing. It doesn't make a difference to me.
No, but Shane, seriously, if I'm hypothetically speaking, I turn professional, right?
Okay.
I have a couple of professional fights, win or lose, whatever, and then I get approached to appear on Misfits Boxing. It could be that the money that they offer me is so much that I think, you know what, this is an opportunity that I can't turn down. I can fight in both, and that's the advantage.
But they're not fighting in both. That's what I'm trying to
but
tell
they
you.
can do.
But then my argument
You're
is,
saying why would they do
what is
it?
the point? If
Because
you're
of
making
the money.
wait. If you're making the money in Misfits Boxing, stick to Misfits
No, but-
Boxing then.
So,
Stick to it.
you don't think that they can do you don't think you can have someone being a pro and going for world titles, but also doing one big because you could go for a world title and not make more than a couple $100,000 a year,
Let me-
but then you could have your whole annual income in professional boxing in just one of these misfit
I would
fights.
say stick to Misfit Boxing then.
No, but you don't
can do
have
both.
That's what I'm saying. That's the whole advantage of doing this. Look at
Can
what
you, wait,
Penny...
can you do both?
No, hold on.
Because in football you wouldn't be able to do both.
No,
right?
but hold on.
So-
No, but this is boxing.
Cool.
Hold on.
Go on.
I'll give you the perfect example. Look at Pineda.
Okay.
He's a professional. He's a legitimate professional
Okay.
boxer. He fights in Mexico, right? No, but whether we laugh at him or not,
Yeah.
he is,
Yeah.
right? I'd be willing to bet my house on it that he's earning way more fighting
Yeah, 100%.
in Misfit
That's a
boxing
fact.
than he
100%.
does back at home in Mexico.
Okay.
So that answers your question. You're saying why would you want to fight in Misfits boxing?
No, I'm not saying why would you. I said why would you want to fight pro? That's what I said. Why
but
are you
he's doing
fighting?
both.
But
I've
why
just
would you
explained
fight pro?
Because of the money.
No, why would you fight pro? I get why you
Because
fight
of the money,
Misfits.
it's
No,
a
I get why
simple-
you fight Misfits, but why fight pro?
Shane, if you can make 10 times the amount that you would make in Mexico, you would be a fool not to.
I'm saying,
He's saying, why does he then go back
fight
to Mexico
pro?
and
Why
fight?
would you
because
fight
he
pro?
wants to retain both. And let's be honest as well, it's the fact that he was a pretty poorly recognised professional boxer, which is why they attracted to him in the first place.
Okay, so then this is my
So
argument.
that one of these misfit guys could have his name on their record, which is what happened last time.
Okay, so with that argument, if we're gonna open the field to this pro and Misfits, then let's put Beterbiev in there with Salt Pappy.
Obviously not.
But then
on,
the
that's-
opening he's gonna make more money fighting Salt Pappy than he will fight
Shane,
Anthony Yard.
come on.
But that's what we're basically saying.
keep
You're
it
opening
100.
that window though.
As
It's
we're
possible, but yeah.
as we're deliberating,
Let's get some predictions on this.
yeah, let's talk about this fight here. Nick Zanetti.
Tom Zanetti.
Sorry.
Nick.
See, you got me calling people the wrong names now.
Me?
We're going to our resident expert, Kane. Tell us a little bit about Zanetti.
It's a tough one with Zanetti because he's not a fighter, but he's built like an athlete.
He's really athletic.
In the media workouts, that's the one where everyone's gone, wow, we're surprised by him.
Has he got a record at all of any note?
Don't think so. He could do, but not that I can. I'm pretty
Because,
sure this is his first at like this kind of event.
Because he's up against Slim, and from what I've seen of Slim in his
Yeah,
last
Slim-
fight, he actually did look good.
I rate Slim. I'm backing Slim because
Yeah.
I think Slim's one of the
Shane,
best.
what do you know about Zanetti?
I don't know.
Does he have a chance in this fight?
Personally, I don't think so, but I don't really. Whenever I see a Misfits fighter in this environment, I don't really. The result doesn't really make a difference to me because there's nothing really at stake. It's how good they look aesthetically. As you said, this is his first fight. What skills does he demonstrate, and what can he take into his next fight? Because there's not much on stake. It's not like a record actually matters at this level. It's mainly for bragging rights. So I just want to see what skills he can actually demonstrate because he's in there with someone who's actually capable. So.
Okay, Nick, what's your thoughts?
I think I read that he had boxed before, not necessarily competed, but like he's been in the gym, he's trained. You know, growing up, I think he'd done a bit of boxing training and stuff like
He's
that.
had
So he should.
2 fights recently, and both opponents have pulled out. So he's been trying.
Yeah, so he's
and then
so
they've
this
signed,
is it. Yeah, so
then
he's
they
a
signed him to
real.
Misfits and go right. Look,
He's
they're taking the piss.
a real athlete. Like I say, this is my pick for fight of the night. So I hope I don't get disappointed. I think it's Slim, who we've seen a bit of, versus an unknown quantity.
I like
right?
the mystery of it because
Yeah,
you've got no idea.
exactly.
You can look at him, but you can't tell what he's going to be like.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. He could turn up and be the best. He could turn up and be the worst.
How does Slim train for that as well? Because there's nothing to go off. You're almost looking at him going, right, how's he probably going to fight?
Exactly. That's a good point. Yeah.
MPD says Robbie Bro wrong on this. What am I wrong about? I've just told you about if you get professional boxing, explain to me what I'm wrong on. Then
I think
can
so.
take it.
For me, I don't want to bang on about this too much. Slim's just doing his walkout now, so I want to focus on this fight. But I think for me, like I say, a lot of these misfit guys want. Whoa, what's going on?
the hell
They
is
got
this?
some. They got some break dancers coming out.
I don't know what's
for
going on
Coming
here.
out like Backstreet Boys.
There's like Don Strapsy there with the ginger beard. My guy, you know, that's mad. Slim's Slim.
What
So,
is going
I'm already
on?
laughing. Slim just makes me laugh. You know he's gonna come out and do some dance and dance his way down. Dance his way down the for the ring walk. He's just such an entertaining guy, Slim. There are a lot of entertaining people in this.
Slim and Salt Puppy in one fight would be
100%.
Oh, the
It'd be a
clash
dance-off.
of the
They
clash of
wouldn't-
personality.
They might as well
Here
do like
comes Slim.
Here he comes.
It reminds me of Nazim Hamid.
100%. That's what I said about Mr. Salt. That he reminded me of Prince Nassim as well.
He's got
So,
some
what?
long
This is
arms, though.
it's a closer comparison because
100%.
Slim is of Yemeni extraction, so obviously,
He-
and so was Nazim Hamid for those of you.
He-
Yeah,
He's
my,
got-
my only thing with the professional thing is that, like I say, these guys want on their record that they fought a professional boxer.
yeah.
And if you look at someone like Tommy Fury, he fought 3 times in 2021 and once in 2022. He may not fight, like he's a professional, but he's got a license with the connections his brother and his family have got with the boxing board. He's always going to get a license. How long does he? If he doesn't fight from last time he fought back in April, how long do we keep getting to say I'm fighting a professional boxer? How long does that stand for?
Deji.
There's my boy Deji, put in a great performance last time.
Yeah, he
Surprised
did look
everybody.
good. Yeah.
Do you know what
I
I mean?
thought you were
he's
going
not
to
on
say he
this
done a
card.
good performance against Floyd.
Surprised he's not on this card.
There's L.
Are you surprised Deji's not on this card?
I think that after we obviously fighting Floyd and after the performance he put in last time, I think he'll want to start headlining.
Yeah,
his
he's
own
big enough to
cards.
headline,
I think that's probably the thought process. And obviously KSI's his brother and wants him to do well and stuff. And I think they'll work. They'll support each other on that.
You'd put him on like the KSI Jake Paul one. Other than that,
Yeah, obviously,
other than that, he's
that's
headlining
massive.
any other event.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. With the KSI Jake Paul card, would you put pros on that?
There will be pros on
Yeah,
that.
there
That'll
will.
be a big pro. That'll be they'll probably have like a lightweight world title fight or something like that.
I mean, let's be honest. When this sort of genre of boxing, and it is a different genre of boxing, emerged, there was a lot of people, myself included, very sceptical of it, looked down on it, or a bit snobbish about it. But let's be honest, man. This boxing, I mean, we're all here today, and we're, commentating it and watching it. It's grown, and it's being respected more and more.
Well, this just fills a gap that professional boxing doesn't have. So with professional boxing, a lot of it is not just about your ability and your highlight reel, but selling your personality and your story. And what we have here is a bunch of people that all come with personality and stories, because in the social media world, that's really what it is. Obviously, some people can sing, some can dance, some have a real talent, but a lot of these guys are just big characters, and they bring that story. And in professional boxing, you have to get to a certain point. You have to earn your way for people to even care what your story is in the first place.
And I think, to be fair as well, sorry to interrupt you, and I will bring you in a minute. I think, to be fair as well, there's a lot of people in boxing, again, myself included, and I'm sure Shane and Nick and everything feels the same way. It's kind of filling a void, because a lot of us were being very disillusioned that a lot of the top guys are not fighting each other.
Correct. That's 100% true.
This
Yeah.
genre has come along. One thing you will say about these guys is that seemingly anyone is prepared to fight anyone.
Yeah, I mean, with this though, I would say I would never ever doubt the reach. You can never doubt the reach and its popularity. Even from the beginning, I've always thought it was a very good way to make money, a very advertising, palatable thing to digest for the casual. The only thing is, I would love it to stay as its own separate entity. That's the only thing. I don't mind watching this knowing that it's a bunch of amateurs putting on an entertaining show for casual fans. It's when you start to merge it in with these pros, that's when I think it starts to get a bit dangerous, like what you see Jake Paul doing, and when it starts to get like that, that's when I think it does start to become a bit disrespectful. So that's where...
But the thing about Jake Paul, he's not fought a professional fighter yet.
Exactly, but he's being considered a professional, and he's, this attitude that a lot of Jake Paul fans have towards, boxing is very, I think...
It's a great face-off, these two.
It is very disrespectful.
These two are both game.
I see where you're coming from. I'm not sure if I wholly agree with that. Right, so here we are. The two of them are in the middle of the ring getting their instructions from the ref.
Leeds versus New York.
I've got to say, man, before the first bell goes, I'm not going to try and be wise after the event. I've got Slim by knockout.
I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to knock him out just because. I think Tom will be a bit. I think Tom will be a bit smart.
He looks.
I think he looks
It either
overhyped.
goes the distance or it's an early knockout for Slim. But
I don't see this going the
can't.
distance, bro. But we'll see.
things I do still just see Tom Zanetti as just a shit DJ. That is what he is to me still.
I mean, he just looks. I mean,
yeah, he's just a lad, isn't he? Tom Zanetti, like he's just moving like he's just come out the pub. He's pretty stiff.
yeah, I was about to say, I
Yeah,
don't really.
straight away, very very stiff.
I'm looking to see something.
He's looking for a one bang. It looks like he wants to get that one punch off back of the head there.
Yeah, he's gonna get tired real quick.
Yeah.
If you see how he fights within those
I think
clinches.
Slim has to make sure he doesn't get roped because he's quite energetic. He has to make sure he doesn't get roped into Tom's energy.
Yeah, he's
wild
gonna
swings.
get tired real quick.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee probably within the next.
He's had some paracetamol before he come out here. 100%. I'm not even trying. I'm trying to keep it PG, but I can't even. Nah, bro.
Something.
Yeah, bro.
Something.
100%. He's drunk too much
He's not
prime.
throwing a punch in,
He's drunk too much prime, blood. Real talk. This is what prime does to you, bro. We need that for the Arsenal team tomorrow because he's just all over. He's moving mad, bro. Like for somebody who's not throwing a punch, he's very animated.
I actually want to see Slim hold his feet a little bit more. This over.
Yeah, you don't want to be getting into these brawls here.
I mean, Zanetti's going so wild. Slim's probably thrown off a little bit.
That's
by
what I'm
just how
saying.
Crazy
He's getting roped into playing Zanetti's type of game. He just needs to stick to what he's doing.
I mean, he switched southpaw orthodox quite a few times in the first minute and a half of this fight already, and I just think he's doing it for no reason. I don't really know what the purpose behind it is.
They're not trying to break when the refs tell him to break as well. The refs got to make sure that he holds the
See, again, he's just
the
switched
authority.
to southpaw again. I don't really know why. Then back to orthodox. I mean,
Well, look at that.
wow,
Look at that.
man's
Look at
playing
that.
cricket right now. That is
100%.
Oh, look, got wobbled there.
It's a nice touch.
Slim.
Nice. I hope he doesn't like it.
Yeah,
Tom
look.
Zanetti doesn't like it. This is the
Just
thing with a lot
swing.
of these guys. Like, you know, respect to anybody that gets in the ring, but it's all well and good going to the gym and stuff. When you get whacked in the face, you start to feel different. You know, as soon as you got hit.
Zanetti's got the build, but you can tell he hasn't got the boxing.
Yeah.
To the same
I don't
level.
think he has the build neither.
I don't know. He's short. He's got a tight body. Yeah, I think he's got the build to fight someone more his size. I think.
Oh, look at that. He
He's
just
got
got
the build.
caught again.
Maybe.
I don't see this
he's got the
going
build.
past the third round.
I think a few people picked up it in the workout. He'd keep his hands down a lot, and people thought that might be a way to get in, and he seems to be doing it now.
Yeah.
You got to remember, when you got a lot of muscles, to keep your hands up, covering your face the whole time, those arms get heavy after a while, especially when you're trying to block punches.
You can see he's trying to do it, and then they naturally just fall down
Yeah.
as he focuses on something else.
Yeah, it's a lack of cardio training is what it is. It's just he's going to try and just keep ego in
And
his
the
way
thing
through
about-
these
the thing about
fights.
Slim, he's got the reach, hasn't he? He's got
Yeah,
long
and
arms.
exactly.
his mouth is, you can see
Mouth's
he's
wide
gasping
open,
for
yeah,
air.
gasping for air, yeah.
That's why I said this is not going through. I'll be surprised.
It's 4 this one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
If Slim doesn't get the stoppage, I'll be disappointed,
We can break that up, ref.
because this is
And that's
the
gonna be time,
definition of amateur style fighting. What
Yeah.
Zanetti
Well,
is
I
doing.
said at the beginning, you can see from the way he's holding his body, he's looking for that one bang. He wants that, you know, he feels like he can hit hard. He just looks like a typical English bloke after the pub.
I would love someone in the corner just to tell these fighters just to calm down, not to be so.
That's
But you know what?
that's one of the
It's easier
downsides.
said than done, that is, because trust me when I tell you, having boxed myself, that comes with experience, knowing how to be calm, knowing how to look a man dead in the eye, see a punch coming and not overly flinch, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's against your natural instincts.
Those things, that comes over time with not just sparring,
I was
but
gonna say
fighting and
sparring.
stuff. Yeah, sparring, but as well as, I mean, fighting and sparring
This
is
is
two
his first
different
time in an
things.
event like this as well, so it's fine
Yeah,
doing
exactly,
it in sparring.
yeah,
When you've got
yeah,
12,000
yeah.
people watching, the cameras are on
Exactly,
you.
exactly.
It's your first time. Like Slim's been in there a few times
Yeah.
now. Salt Pappy was good at composing himself. He's done it before.
That's the thing with
You
a lot of
can
these
see
social
quite a
media
lot with
people
the new
as
guys
well.
on their first one. They'll all be prepared as soon as they go in.
Are digital.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys with big social media followings, they don't meet people in real life. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same as being a professional footballer or something like that.
You know, we even see that in the pro ranks. Remember when Dylan White was in solitary for so long, and then he came back for the Fury fight? It was almost like a fish out of headlights. Like a deer in the headlights. Like all the cameras, all the fans.
Yeah,
you know,
didn't look settled.
Not at all.
That was like Pineda in the KSI one.
Yeah.
He's been pro, but you put him in front of a big crowd,
Yeah.
and he just absolutely lost his bottle
Yeah.
We see that a lot.
You can do that to you, trust me.
because he just completely
I'll give
froze in that.
Zanetti his props though. He is trying. He's game.
He's not
running
swansing it
away.
out.
He's trying, but he looks so open, man. I mean, some of those punches.
If one of these did connect,
That's the thing. It's going to be the equalizer, isn't it? If one of them connects, it's just going to be the equalizer. But it's just, does Slim have the power to really put him away? Because he just looks like he's going to keep coming forward. I don't know what Slim's doing, because Slim seemed in control in the first round. In the second round, he's really just, obviously we're only a minute in, but he's just seems to have really dropped the level.
I also feel like Slim's tired as well, because as you said, he dragged him. He
played Zanetti's
he
pace.
played that game. He played that pace. You know,
it's because of his walkout. He's lost half his energy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh look!
At least he didn't have a big heavy costume on. That's the main thing.
He just landed a
Great counter, right? Yeah.
straight,
love to see him like
straight left and
not
lead right.
just be so animated and a little bit, have a little bit more process to his punches.
He should never be that close. I mean, he's got such a long range. Great right hand coming out of the clinch. He
hurt him with that shot.
Yeah.
But Zanetti, to be fair to him,
Zanetti's got what
tough.
Dillian White's got, which
He's
is when
swinging out
he
of
hurt.
desperation,
Yeah,
but it
when you
kinda
hurt him, he starts swinging rather than go into his shell.
He looks like the kind of guy that if you give him a couple of years, he could be half decent. I'm not going to say he'd be good, but you know, he's taking a bit of a shellacking now. He's
You can tell
tired.
that he wanted to get into it.
Yeah.
But it's like early days.
Yeah, he looks very, very tired. Very tired.
And not only that, he's getting caught clean.
And you see fighters get real tired, but you rarely see a lot of body punches, which is
Not
quite
at this
In this level, there's no body punches.
yeah.
They don't have good enough feet to get in and out.
That is one of the easiest ways to take someone down at this level, though. If you think about it, you know, when their gas tank's going, you get them with that liver shot or the shot to the body, they go down real.
I've seen a couple of shots from.
It's got to be hard to train some of these guys. Boxing is a sport that doesn't have a lot of money in it outside of the elite level, and a lot of these coaches are going to make more money training these types of fighters than they are professional fighters. But these guys are going to come with such big platforms and such big egos that they're going to be so hard to actually teach anything to.
What you're going to find is a lot of...
Here we go. He's got 2 or 3 from Slim,
yeah.
and he's stumbling back. I think the bell's probably going to save him here, but he's definitely stumbling back.
One thing I've noticed about these fights as well, tell me what you think, is that the referees sometimes they take a bit long to
stop the fight. Yeah.
Because it's not professional sport. It's entertainment first.
There's been some where in the early events they were stopping it way too soon, and then people just getting annoyed.
Yeah.
So because it's entertainment, I think there is a little bit of an element of let's keep them going a little bit more.
You know what I'd love to see? Because it's not professional boxing, I would have loved to see like a celebrity ref. You know, just to, might make it a little bit more entertaining.
Especially the way Misfits goes, where they had the 2 fights for KSI on the one card before.
Yeah.
They've done the mystery fighter this time. It's like every card they're trying to add that little something of
Something that's a
entertainment.
little bit different,
So it would surprise me if one of them would go, celebrity ref. Why not?
Literally. That's what they've done in WWE, you know, having a celebrity ref or
When
something.
we're talking about, it does feel very like 90s WWE the way
Yeah,
they're
I
trying
was
to
going to
sell
say,
this.
I made the joke earlier about like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but WWE is a better example of like, you know, you get to know all these characters and all these storylines, and then you can kind of pick who you prefer.
Well, even after Logan
you know.
Paul did this, then went into WWE. So
Exactly.
they saw that and picked him up on it. It's very similar.
They actually might make a what's it called from this, like a Misfits game or something on PlayStation or something. Like, you never know.
Oh, he got caught with a big shot there.
Tom Zanetti's got no
He's got a
footwork.
good chin.
Yeah, I was going to
He's got a
say
good
that.
chin,
He's got a
but
good
He's got
chin.
a decent chin.
He's got no footwork. Like, he's throwing his right hand and his back foot is coming up in the air, and that's a problem because if he gets hit at that time when his back foot's up in the air, he's going to go down. He's going to be off balance and he's going to
I
go down.
haven't seen one shot buckle him though. Like he's
I've
just
seen
swallowed
one. Nah,
every-
he's had a
I think,
couple.
I
He's had
think
a
in the
couple. He
previous
stumbled
round
back.
he was hurt.
He stumbled back. Yeah, he got hit with like 2-3 combo and he stumbled back a
I
little.
still don't think it looked like he was gonna fall though.
Things are someone like him, like depending on the kind of guy that you are, like, you know, you might have such an ego and everybody's watching you, you just think, I'm not getting knocked out. I'll lose, but I'm not getting knocked out. So you could just refuse to get knocked out sometimes.
I think it's fair to say that Slim's having it pretty much his own way over these first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Or first 2.1 rounds. But Zanetti's he's trying.
He's trying.
Yeah. You got to give him
Not
credit.
having much success, but he is trying.
No.
I mean, it's quite.
Just got caught again by another overhand right. And again.
Yeah.
Do they have real coaches, or do they have like?
I think
I
some of them do.
Slim's coach
No,
is
I mean-
Saddam Ali.
He has a real coach, but across the board, do they have real professional
I
coaches?
think they do, most of them.
Because a lot of them from social media, they're making so much money.
Yeah, exactly.
They can spend more on coaches than a lot of like professional boxers
Facts.
can. So they will go for even like Vidal Riley. He's a boxer that went into YouTube because it helped him financially. Because KSI went, I want you. It's built his career up.
Yeah.
Paid him more.
But the problem is, even though they're going to go
he's an
and
established boxer now with the boxer organisation.
even though they're going to go and get these top coaches, though, a lot of the coaching relationship comes from you guys being in the dirt together.
He's done, guys.
And I don't know. I don't think he'll give up. I don't think he'll be done.
No, he won't give up.
Oh, got you.
There's a couple of good punches.
It's going to be so difficult to coach these guys because you just don't have that. They're paying you, but they just don't have that relationship.
Slim!
Great punch. Great punch.
He hurt
Great
Slim
punch. What? Let's see what Slim's going to do now. Is that your?
Got his chin in the air, boy.
Let's see what Slim's going to do now. I think that's the first time we've really seen Slim rock.
No doubt about it. He hurt him
2 or 3 times as well. 2 or 3 bangs he caught.
You've got to give Zanetti his props, man. He's hanging in there and he's fighting back and he's had a bit of success.
Especially after he sees that he can hurt Slim if he
you
connects.
know what's so good is the fact that he's already known that he's probably behind on the cards. He's probably just said,
Yeah.
let's just have a go.
100%. Overall, I still got to give that round to Slim. That was he had a bit of a flurry, but we can't, so going into
I've
this.
stopped counting the rounds at this.
I mean, it's only 3. I can count up to 3. but yeah, I think like you said, he will know that he needs to go and knock him out to win this fight now.
But back to the coach's point, like, whilst they're getting paid a lot, do you think they care about actually improving their fighter? Because I don't really see a great
Not
deal
all of them, but some of them. Because like Vidal Riley, I'd say because his reputation, obviously pro boxing, whatever, but he's known, especially by the people in YouTube scene, he's known as the pro boxer who made KSI what
But
he is.
Vidal Riley had a good amateur career.
Yeah.
So
he's a good boxer before, but his reputation and the way he was known has evolved tenfold because of KSI.
Great
from KSI.
So it's where he's built him up. It's you're a good boxer, and you've made that guy. Wow, let's check you out.
See, Slim's so good at standing and jabbing, and he's not that wild haymaker thrower. And as soon as he throws that haymaker, Zanetti's able to get him. He has to stick to his own game plan.
He's got
Last round coming up. Slim looking a little banged up there,
He looks like Zanetti can hit hard. Whenever he connects with him, it's a problem.
Why didn't KSI just fight Slim?
It was because where Dylan Dennis pulled out on 10 days' notice, the original backup was Joe Fournier, but he was.
I've heard of Joe Fournier.
Yeah.
He's a professional boxer.
Because he fought orthodox. KSI didn't want to switch on 10 days' notice, so we had to find another southpaw, and Faze was just available. And he said he didn't want to take, because KSI he owns Misfits, or he's involved in Misfits. He doesn't want to kind of ruin the card for his own game, so he'd rather KSI and Slim is probably the next fight for KSI, but he'd want the full build up behind it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you don't want to drag him off this.
And also, if Slim can win, it's going to build the profile for. Yeah.
Because KSI said he's likely to fight. Whoever wins this, that's probably KSI's next fight.
That's the other thing with boxing versus this stuff is that it's very much a conflict of interest that KSI is the headline star and the person putting the cards together because he's picking his own fights for his own cards.
Though, isn't
do you know what I mean? So
I mean, that's Canelo. That's basically what Canelo does for his last 5 years of his career. So
I don't know about that.
I mean,
I think what Shane says, there is an element of truth in that. When you're at the top of the game and you're the number one sort of
just pick and choose who you want to fight.
You can kind of pick and choose who you fight, and you do get away with it because the sanctioning bodies, because of
follow the money,
they'll fall into line. So there is some truth.
Especially when it's not like fully pro, you can kind of
exactly.
there's more leeway.
Even worse,
I mean, even in the pro, they do it as well. Trust me.
We're in the last round, and it's looking like Slim, despite some uncomfortable moments in the previous round, is going to cruise to a points win. But Zanetti, I've got to give him his props. He's outgunned, but he's game.
As a person who follows YouTube boxing quite like consistently, do you find? And this
here we go.
See,
they're going to war with each other.
Slim he's
going
doing
to war
stuff
with each other.
that he doesn't need to do. He's got the fight won. And
he's very, very lucky that Tom Zanetti is out of energy, because if he just had a little bit more of a burst of energy at the moment, he he could
He's
do
fighting
Slim
a
some real
silly fight,
damage.
really, because you got
Yeah.
the fight one. You've won all 3 rounds comfortably. You're in the last.
Maybe because
30
he knows
seconds.
he's going to fight KSI, he wants to entertain.
No, but I mean, you know,
Yeah, if he
get
loses, he
caught,
might not lose. He might not get the KSI fight. So you know,
I think Slim would have gone into this one in the knockout because
Yeah.
that's the thing that would have really sold it on the KSI Slim. It's you've knocked him out, right? You've got to fight him now.
Yeah.
Like if it goes how it is, KSI could go. I'm going to look somewhere else.
Yeah.
It might be a bit better.
Do you find this type of boxing in ring more entertaining than real boxing, in your opinion?
Sometimes, yeah. Not every time, but there are some.
It's the end of the fight. The 2 fighters embrace in the centre of the ring there. I think we all agree that Slim has won pretty much every round. But he did get caught a couple of times in that last round. And I think you got to give credit to Tom Zanetti.
Yeah,
he
no,
went
for
the
sure.
distance. I didn't think he
For
would.
sure.
He went the distance and he had his moments.
so I think I called that at the beginning of the fight that he wouldn't knock him out.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it real. I said I didn't think he'd go 3 rounds. In the end, he went 4. Shane, what was your thoughts on it?
I mean, I thought on the surface, it was very entertaining. Both dudes actually went for it, so it was good to watch. I think it was a standard performance from Slim. I don't think there was anything to rant and rave about.
He didn't over-impress.
No.
I thought the Slim Temper fight, it was probably a better fight overall, but he looked a bit better in that one because he could show off his skill set a bit more.
Of course.
Yeah.
Where with this one, where it was just swinging, he almost had to back up and not do everything he could. Just
But
kind of stay.
Zanetti looked like he hits a lot harder than Temper.
Yeah.
So when Slim did get hit by Temper, he didn't seem
Yeah.
too fast. But when he got hit by Zanetti, he thought
I think
actually.
he was a little bit worried here.
Yeah,
If
that
one
actually,
just comes in and
I've
hits
got
me,
to think
I'm
about
gone.
this a little bit more, for sure.
Yeah,
But
he needs to keep his defence
a
up.
lot of watching boxing is about storylines and narratives, and I think one of the reasons that people like Kane might find this type of boxing more entertaining is because he's looking at a card where he knows everybody. He knows the people's stories. When was the last time he watched a professional
100%.
boxing card
for me,
and
it's
knew
definitely-
everybody's
I think especially
backstory?
because I like the UFC as well. That's very storyline based.
Exactly.
But for boxing, even like so this one's the YouTube. This is what's well. But when it comes to professional boxing, I'll watch like obviously the big fights. But even ones like Riakporhe,
Yeah.
not the best fighter.
Yeah.
But where he's made kind of a personality. I've been a Crystal Palace fan. He
Yeah.
reps Crystal Palace. Being a Crystal Palace fan, that kind of piqued my interest.
Exactly.
So I'll watch him more than I'll watch those fighters
100%.
just because of that storyline.
Same when I
And
stay
it's
up
like,
late to
you're
watch
not the best
American
guy ever,
fights.
but I'm still
When I stay up
invested.
late to watch American fights, I don't know most of the guys in the card, and they've really got that promo pack to sell me. I was watching a fight. I was watching a Charlo fight years ago, and I watched the promo pack, and the guy was like, "For 2 years." This is Charlo's opponent. He goes, for 2 years, people were spitting on me and I was homeless and they used to laugh at me. And I was like, I messaged my mate and I was like, this guy wins this fight. And it was the upset fight. I think it was Hurd and he beat Charlo. But just listening to his story, and he was homeless, he was on the street or whatever.
No, Hurd
Didn't beat Charlo.
Or he gave him a good. It was somebody that beat. It wasn't no.
Hurd.
No, it was the fight before he fought Charlo,
okay.
and he beat the guy anyway. But I think it was on a Charlo undercard. But just hearing that backstory definitely roped me into. Oh, now I'm invested.
But I
Obviously, the boxing is a hell of a lot better. But so what?
With the question, if I almost rephrase it, then is, if you were to remove the narrative that you go into the fight with, in your opinion, I'm not talking about from a skills perspective, purely entertainment. Are you more entertained by this, or are you more entertained by what you see in a real boxing match? Remove the narrative, just fist for fist. Are you more entertained by misfits or real boxing?
If you
in
had to go
your
like
opinion?
on a regular basis, I'd rather watch the Misfits ones than
really?
the professional
Right.
ones. It's a little bit like swing and miss, and that's kind of like it's part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
But I think where
Are you a big boxing fan away from YouTube boxing? Like, are you like a boxing purist? or
not pure,
really? You watch the big
I'm
fights.
casual.
You are what we
But that's
call a
why.
boxing
That's
casual.
what
but
you'd
the
expect.
reason why I
Yeah.
want to ask that is because you represent the masses. You don't represent like you're not going to find many hardcore boxing fans who's waking up 3 o'clock in the morning to watch American
That's it.
fight.
A lot of the boxing.
Just to say, guys, Slim has been awarded a unanimous decision, which is what we all thought would happen. But he knows he's been in a fight, and you look at his face, he looks pretty marked up, and he looks. He went over and he congratulated Tom Zanetti. Obviously, the respect is there. So yeah, decent performance. One thing I would say, and somebody in the comments mentioned it, and I was going to ask it anyway, but I'm going to ask it now. Based on what you've seen tonight, or maybe not just on what you've seen tonight, but Slim versus Salt Pappy. Kane, what do you reckon?
Before this, I was fully expecting KSI versus Slim to be the next one. Now I feel like he's got one more fight before the KSI.
No, Slim
one.
versus Salt Pappy.
Yeah, so that's why I think he's one fight away from KSI. Salt Pappy could be the guy.
Yeah.
And
Well,
what
I
do you
wouldn't have
reckon?
expected it before, but based on today, I'd be down to see it.
And what do you think would happen?
It'd be tough, it'd be close. I reckon Salt Pappy could edge it.
Yeah, I'll go Mr. Salt. I said even before I said right at the top of the show, that's the fight I want to see, and this makes me want to see that fight even more. Exactly for the reasons that you said, like, and their styles, and just, you know, I think that could be possibly in the Misfits world one of the best technical fights.
Actually, sorry, go on.
I think the issue now for Slim is where KSI is very clear on his plan of I want one more fight, then I want Jake Paul.
Yeah, he has to take the opportunity
Slim's
now.
either got to take it now or possibly never take it.
But he can fight Mr. Salt on the way down.
Yeah, I think it's going to come at some point.
Yeah.
Especially for Salt, because there's not that many.
Because I'd
fight.
imagine KSI probably beat Slim.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Of course.
So then he can
But
fight
that's
him
in an ideal world. You'd want Salt Pappy. You'd want him to have Salt Pappy and then KSI as his kind of warm up to it. But it's whether that fits in, because then
Yeah,
you've
for
got to
sure.
fight a lot. Break, yeah.
In my opinion, I actually disagree with both of you. And the reason why I'm saying that is because one thing that I saw in the last fight, and he didn't do it that much in this fight, but he done it in spells, is Slim uses a lot of lateral movement and he fights off the back foot. Whereas in Salt's last fight, or Mr. Salt's last fight, he was actually almost drawing his opponent into him. He would actually have to go and seek Slim, and with the long arms, the long range, and I don't think he's that fleet of foot, Mr. Salt. So I do think he's going to struggle with actually cutting off the ring and getting on the inside and landing those punches. So I actually think Slim's going to win it, just purely and simply off the fact that he can actually use his feet and move around the ring and keep the fight at distance. So I do think if I was in this guy's corner, I'd be saying don't engage and force this guy to come onto punches.
If they were to fight, I would think it would be more Slim's probably on top and dominating, and then I'll call him Sir Salt. Sir Salt just goes in with like that one bang like today, and he just catches him out at the right moment because he's got that skill set.
That's if Slim gets greedy. You know, Slim gets greedy.
For me, I would love to see that fight, and based on what I've seen of him, I think it's a very competitive fight. But I'm going to say, man, to me, I think Salt Pappy's skills are a little bit more finessed than Slim's.
I think you're a little bit invested in this YouTube box.
I was just about to say. Yeah.
No,
We've got him. We've got him.
Yeah. As I said before, man, when this whole concept came about, I was quite dismissive of it. I was one of the old school that was very skeptical of all this stuff. I regarded it as not real boxing, and to be honest, it's not 100% real boxing. It is what it is.
I mean, the thing with these events, like YouTube boxing, they're still putting on some crap events that nobody cares. The people aren't relevant. This one being on DAZN, being done properly, managed properly. This is almost like the Premier League of YouTube boxing.
Yeah, it's a great production.
So the matchmaking makes sense. It's presented
This to me
well.
is like
Everything
watching
about this.
AFTV Blood Brothers, but if it was picked up by a big broadcaster. Do you know what I mean? It's that type of. I'm not then going. These guys should be playing for Arsenal. I'm not going that far. But
it has its own market, and within that, it's entertaining in its own
You can't
way.
argue with the production though. The production is
production's
as good,
great.
or if not better than pros.
Even like the way DAZN are using it, they're putting this one to try and boost the numbers to Eubank.
No,
It's like
the thing is, DAZN is struggling. In real boxing, removing Misfits boxing, DAZN is struggling.
That's why DAZN picked.
So that's why they
boxing
do.
as a sport is struggling. We have to remember that boxing is a sport mostly of purists, and then the casuals come when there's a big name like an AJ or a Fury, and they'll take 10 years off until there's a next big name. Do you know what I mean? So this is something that, although it's not what you want to see, this actually helps boxing as a sport overall because it gets people engaged in boxing.
Yeah, there is that argument.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there is that argument. Listen, the way I look at it is...
But with boxing in the 90s, completely, once Tyson was gone, and Lennox Lewis, a great technical boxer, but not super entertaining, it was dead. It was dead for 10, 15 years. Like, the numbers were just...
I don't think there'll be as many YouTube boxing viewers that go over to traditional boxing like they might expect. But what I agree they should almost stay separate, but I think we've touched on it before, the proper boxing can probably take some lessons on the storytelling side. And almost like, look, if you want to get yourself going in the pro, build up a storyline and a personality like these, and it will help you and the sport.
I think you're seeing that with a lot of fighters now. They are trying to increase their profile on social media and stuff.
When you talk about Joe Joyce, everyone just talks about how boring he is.
And if you think about it, the ones who are really popular in boxing now, the Furies.
Even like Tommy Fury, shit boxer, but most people know of him and know about him because of the storyline, regardless of how he fights.
Same thing with Wilder. Like, there is almost a narrative behind it that people can invest in. You know, that's a name that people can actually attach themselves to, despite whether he's winning or losing. And I feel like it's the same thing with Chisora. He's lost about 15 times. He still packs out the O2 every time. So I do understand where you're coming from in terms of investing more into the promotion of yourself.
It kind of leads back to what you said before as well, where in terms of watching their pure skill set, like I can appreciate who is a good boxer and the skills they have, but sometimes it just won't interest me still, and I'd rather see someone a little bit worse, but with the storyline. So then there's the anger and emotion behind it.
Yeah.
Right, guys, we're leading up now to the main event. Kane, tell us your expectations for the main event. KSI, who's, let's face it, he's the main headline,
he's a
the main
fairly
attraction.
heavy favourite going into
He
it.
was supposed to
I
have
agree
fought
with
Dylan Dennis. We know that Dylan Dennis pulled out for whatever reason.
The interesting thing that in the YouTube scene, Faze has built, KSI fighting Faze has built up like a bigger hype than fighting Dylan Dennis, and it's almost like the pure YouTube stuff.
Right.
It's almost worked out in terms of.
It's because of where their fans come from.
Yeah.
Their fans come from YouTube, and their fans aren't out and out, so they're not going, "Oh, Dylan Dennis, this is what I'm waiting for." They don't care.
This is almost like where KSI Logan Paul was really heavy, and they played on the UK versus US. That was massive.
Yeah.
Now this is almost happened again with KSI's sidemen. He's obviously Faze, they're big over in North America.
Well, tell the people a little bit about Faze Temper, for the people who don't know. Tell us his background.
So obviously he lost to Slim, so he's...
Now tell us how he got into this whole thing. What is he famous for?
So Faze they're very North American. There's a Faze almost like a massive clan. They'll do everything from esports, gaming. There's hundreds of them. So the actual Temper, I don't actually know his YouTube. Like, I haven't watched his YouTube background. See, Faze are massive. Everyone knows of Faze in YouTube.
Yeah,
there's just so
it's like a collective.
Yeah, it's just like a massive group across
and
America.
From that.
So he's from that. So he's the only one that's really ventured into YouTube boxing. So he's almost representing.
What's his record in boxing like?
He lost to Slim. Then who was his recent fight? I feel like he had someone else after that.
So it sounds like KSI is a firm favourite.
Yeah, KSI's fan favourite. Yeah, Faze. There's potential for him to do something, but
can he punch? What's his attributes?
Trying to think back to the Slim fight, because they were really swinging
fit
for it.
and ready. And
I mean, for what I remember, is he's actually quite sculptured. Like he's pretty muscular, from what I remembered.
So we're seeing a familiar pattern here, aren't we, Nick? Where guys, they get themselves into decent shape. They've got good body, lots of tattoos, big personalities, but they can't really fight.
I think when we watched the last fight, Slim was more technical than Faze Temper, but Temper was like not as wily as Tom Zanetti, but he was game. You know, he was constantly coming forward. He was a little bit more of like a refined.
He was the one that made it a scrap.
Yeah,
scrap.
he's gonna make it scrappy. He's gonna make it messy. And obviously he's fairly sizable. He's got similar like dimensions to Slim, so you know he can throw a punch. But yeah, like you say, KSI should be the favorite.
Mentally though, what I would love to understand is, because in boxing we have fighters who are last minute replacements. 9 times out of 10 they're just coming to collect a paycheck. How psychologically do you think he would be thinking? You know, is he just there to get a bit of fame, or does he actually believe in himself that he can actually win?
It's a good point. Kane,
I
is
think
he here to win,
in
or is he
himself.
just there to
He's in that
compete?
kind of bracket as well of the better than the average, but not up there. So he's kind of always he's always keeping himself in shape. So that's why he can kind of step up. So it's not like a Swarms, where Swarms stepped up. You knew Swarms was getting battered. He was just here to take the money, have a laugh,
have some
make
fame.
a song.
But off the back of that as well, I was going to say KSI is unbeaten, right?
Yes.
So I wonder what happens to this whole show.
How loss absolutely ruins.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What actually happens then? How much jeopardy? I'm not talking about KSI fixing the fight necessarily, but how much jeopardy is there?
If
massive. Somebody does come in and lay him out, and I guess also in the nature of how he loses is going to be important as well, because a lot of this is built off of him being the unbeaten guy. He's the final boss. If he
loses, Jake Paul for the next 3 months is just endlessly trolling him online.
Yeah.
He'll push back the fight and he'll try and do all this kind of stuff to get under KSI. It's almost like a must-win for him.
Yeah.
Faze Temper has gone out and got himself a coach. Shane will know his, Nick will know his for sure. Malik Scott, who is
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Wilder
Very good
professional
friend.
heavyweight and the current trainer of
Wilder.
none other than Deontay Wilder. So again, we got a YouTuber that's gone out and spared no expense, got himself a professional
One thing I
trainer.
will say about Malik Scott, and this is when in his amateur career and in his pros, this dude is he loves boxing. Like, he loves boxing. So if there's anything that Faze is going to have, is he's going to be in there with someone who's going to be willing to tell him what he's doing wrong. Whether he can follow those instructions, only God knows, but he's going to be in there with someone who, at least he does have a coach in there who's very, very capable and will be able to see the signs that we on the sidelines can see and definitely give him the right instructions to correct it. I don't know if he has the ability
But how long would he have been with Malik Scott?
I have no idea.
The interesting part is because he wasn't the contracted backup, so he wasn't kind of training
That's
knowing
right,
I could be
this
on
is
it.
it,
It kind of came a bit last minute. So even though he's been kind of training in the background, it's how much have you been training?
Colour Solon.
Yeah, the production value for this is really big as well, especially with Sky's got a new deal with Boxer, and I've watched a few of their fights, and the production is not the best. The relationship's new, they're still working things out, but the production value of this stuff, overall show, I would say at the moment is probably
I think
leading.
the Zone have always been fantastic when it comes
Yeah.
to production, and maybe not so great with matchmaking, but their production has always been. Look at Canelo fights. I mean, their production, they spend millions on their production. The likes.
Yeah, I agree. DAZN's always up there with like the content and the storylines and all that kind of stuff. I think it's really good.
Well, the DAZN is a billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
We know that
So
they're
Sky.
losing a lot of money. They're losing a lot of money, but they do have the money to put on events like this, so they can spare no expense.
KSI's last fight as well, that was in their top 5 viewed things
Yeah.
of the year.
Because I was going to say, like,
Very
this
easily.
event,
Very
what we're
easily.
seeing now is, let's face it, very well supported. A lot of people in the audience. I'm sure it's being watched across the planet. Next week, of course, we got a real professional boxing fight, big fight in boxing. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith, a fight I'm looking forward to watching very much. But I've got to be honest and say, man, in terms of numbers, this is going to outdo that by a long way.
Oh, by far.
But I mean, it's if you're really into boxing, it's irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? I mean, how much would you? It's difficult. Like we all.
No, I'm just comparing the.
Yeah,
fact
but I was
that-
going to say, like,
yeah,
if there was a world in which five-a-side teams or YouTube teams were getting more views than Premier League teams, how much weight would a Premier League still have?
But I feel like it's slightly different, purely and simply because of what you said. When we watch Arsenal versus Tottenham or United versus Man City, we're not buying into the personality or the character. It's almost tradition for us. Whereas when we watch, let's say, Smith versus Eubank, we're buying into the character.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you don't know that character, if you haven't built that bridge between the casual fan and yourself, like these YouTubers have, then you're not going to get that investment. So that's where I think there's a slight difference.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, next week I'm really looking forward to next week's fight. Eubank versus Smith's going to be a tremendous fight.
Smith should
but
lose that fight.
This, I have to say, is a bigger event per se.
Yeah.
Than next week is.
Yeah.
How's the purses for these cards, and how are they distributed?
I don't know all the way down, but I know like one. I don't know if you've seen an Anis and Gibb fight before. He's done a few. I don't think he does Misfits, but he fought Jake Paul. He lost to him.
Yeah.
Then he's had a few comeback fights. He's had multiple offers for YouTube boxing stuff. If he hasn't signed, he's about to sign a 7-figure deal, and he's not by any means professional. He's a YouTuber who he's put in a lot of money and time, and he's really, for like 2 years, he's really worked at it, but he's by no means a professional. But
I mean,
that will be one of the higher pay ranges. But yeah,
I can
7 figures for
imagine
that.
Slim got a 6-figure paycheck for this. I can imagine.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I think Pineda took 6 figures on his last one.
6. See, this
I
is
think
what.
it was.
See,
I don't
this
know-
goes back to
I
what I'm
don't know
saying.
exactly what it was. but
Pineda
that
in
was,
Mexico, he would have to fight 10 years plus if he's going to get anywhere near that
Anyway,
type
and he
of
might not
money.
even get that.
So
I
this
didn't
is
think
what I'm
that's
saying
done.
about
when
him being
the
able.
news came out, it was him. That was the talk of it was 6 figures. Then Since that fight, he's gone back to Mexico, lost
knocked
twice,
out,
and then come back and done this
Come
again,
back and look at
probably
today.
got more again for that than he did his
And
last.
To
And
me,
I
I wouldn't
reckon-
even go back to Mexico.
And
I
without
would
being
go back to
cynical, I
Mexico.
reckon they got him a win tonight so they can keep that whole Pineda story.
But I
alive.
reckon most of the people in the audience don't know that he went back to Mexico and lost those 2 fights.
I found out
probably
today
don't
looking
care.
into it.
Yeah,
But-
exactly.
but-
That's exactly.
But why go back to Mexico? That's the part I don't
I
understand.
think he's only doing that to stay active as, so you can almost sell it as he's the professional
That's
boxer.
exactly what I was saying
he's
earlier
going
about
back
Tommy
not for the
Fury.
fights, he's going back
Yep.
for just to keep that title for the Misfits YouTubers.
I see.
That's what I was saying earlier about how long do we call Tommy Fury a professional boxer, because they're just going to keep milking I'm fighting a professional boxer.
Because if Pineda,
He'll just keep fighting once
if
a
Pineda
year.
went here, fought KSI, got humiliated, did nothing, and then came back for this event, it's okay. You're just a YouTube boxer now. But because he's gone and had
Exactly,
those
that's your-
professionals,
that goes
you
back to
can
your
still
point.
call him a professional.
Yeah,
even
no,
if
I
he's
get
crap.
you. I get you. I get you. I do understand.
As I was saying before, it's about the bag, and you can't blame him.
I mean, they might just
He's,
start recycling journeymen in Misfits. They might.
That's 100% what we'll eventually get to. Yeah, they'll get someone. Trezora's a bad example because he's very, very dangerous. But they'll get someone who's past it and, you know, well into their decline. I mean, they're already doing that with like going and getting 40-year-old pros. Or
I mean, look at what's it called?
They're
Lamont.
doing it with Jake Paul when he's fighting
Anderson
UFC
Silva,
guys
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that are in their 40s.
look at Lamont Peterson. He fought last week. You could easily see him fighting KSI, and KSI might win the fight.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah. It's a good point. But yeah, we're closing in on the headline fight. I've got to say, I'm looking at KSI in the weigh-in, man. He looks cut
in
up.
great shape, yeah.
He's in
Yeah,
great
very,
shape.
very
In fact, he
good
looks
shape.
in better shape for this fight than he was at the last fight.
But
Definitely
he needs to be, though, to be fair.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, because of those 2 fights, let's face it, joke. They were an absolute joke. But
What if you're Swarms? What do you do? Like, how do you position yourself moving forward? Do you just continue the Misfits things that you're doing?
100%. I mean, he's like, I honestly think all of that laughing at the fans and all that showboating and stuff when he got
Pantomime villain.
Yeah, I think it's pantomime villain stuff for sure. People will tune in to watch him or hope to watch him get knocked out, and they'll dislike him. I don't think he has much chance of becoming a super fan favorite and likable person.
I've got to ask Kane while you're here, giving us the benefit of your knowledge in the YouTube scene. Got a few people there asking us about Anderson Gibb. What's your thoughts on him?
He's another one where personality amazing. That's how he sells. He is a decent boxer now because he's worked at it. He started off like a lot of them where it was just he doesn't
Just
know
a
what he's
joke
doing.
thing, yeah.
But then where he enjoyed it, and he was one where his YouTube's almost gone on the back burner for boxing, but he's still got that following, so the fans are going with him. So
Yeah.
like he'll on his YouTube he might post every 6 months to promote the boxing.
Oh,
It's like
wow.
all his, but he's now just I've got a fight. I'm promoting this. I'm calling this person out.
Do you think he could beat Slim? A few people in there saying that they think he could beat Slim.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Not guaranteed, but yeah.
Yeah, he's,
It's interesting because I remember when he fought Jake Paul, and Jake Paul absolutely ironed him out.
Yeah, that
and
was one where Gibb, I think he almost jumped a bit too soon, and
yeah, there was a big differential in weight.
Yeah.
That was where it was a bit of too big a jump up. Mentally, I don't think he was fully ready for it. So he's almost had to back down and then build up again, and now it's working. But because of his personality, the loss didn't matter.
What-
And he's made it like a revenge arc, so
Of
he's still
course.
selling that.
Of course, and to me, this is the funniest thing. I've said quite a few things which a lot of the YouTube boxing fans will probably dislike what I've said today. But one thing I will say is, I will bet that there's about 5 or 10 YouTube boxers that will beat good professionals. I can almost guarantee.
Name them.
Huh?
Name them.
Name a professional that.
Now name the guys that you could beat.
I think Jake Paul can beat. I think Jake Paul can beat professionals. I think KSI can beat professionals. I think.
I think Deji
I think
could.
Jake Paul could comfortably
What's-
fight a lot of professionals, but they're not worth it because you can fight Woodley or Askren,
Of course.
and it sells more. So you're better off. Not
Although
doing
he's
it,
got
but
to
he
the
could.
stage now where people are saying, "Come on now, you've got to
No,
get
but
him with a
I
professional
actually
fight."
feel like, and this might sound crazy, but I feel like at some stage with good matchmaking, Jake Paul can fight for a version of a world title.
What do you mean by a version of a world
You know,
title?
one of them interims, those WBA interim, one of those type of fights. I think he can fight for, not win, but I think he can fight with good matchmaking. He can fight for a version of a world title.
You know what? It's a pity that the fight with Hasim Rahman Jr. got called off, because Hasim Rahman Jr. is a professional fighter.
Definitely, yeah.
He's not a very good one, but you know, he has a name. He's won fights. That would have been very interesting, because I think Hasim Rahman Jr. as well looked motivated to win, but then there was this debate about the weights and so forth, so it never happened. So that would have been an intriguing fight for me to see how Jake Paul would have handled that, how if he would have come through it, even if he'd have won or not, we don't know. But hey, Nick, so what's your views on the main fight, man?
Yeah,
KSI versus Faze Temper.
I mean,
Is there any chance of an upset?
I think there's a chance of an upset for sure. There's always a chance of an upset, but yeah, I think it's tough. If you're Faze Temper, what's going through your head at the moment? Do you want to, not want to lose, but do you want to keep this hype train going, or do you want to go and be the guy to topple it? Is there real mileage in that? Do you know what I mean? You know, it's I don't know. I really don't know. But I definitely want to see KSI stepping up and taking harder opponents and moving away from the gimmicks of, I'll fight 2 people in the night, 4 people in the night, 10 people in the night. But it's not, but they're just not the quality.
I think it worked at the time. But
Yeah, no, for sure. For a
can't
one-off,
always
it was
do that.
great.
You've got to at some point then progress.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you've had your moment. You can't do that again.
And it was a cool idea, and I genuinely enjoyed watching it for what it was. But yeah, I
Even
definitely
like
want
the
to see
mystery
him.
opponent today was cool.
Yeah.
The Pineda thing, like I celebrated that like a
Yeah,
a WrestleMania entrance when I was like 15.
But KSI,
But you can't do that again.
KSI is actually a marketing genius. I don't
100%.
think anyone can argue with that. I think the next,
Anything he touches turns. Even look at Prime. Whatever he touches just turns
I
to
think
gold.
what he should do next, if he's looking for a gimmick, is fights with no rounds, just until the referee says it's over. That's what I think he should do next as a gimmick. No 3-minute rounds, just fight until the fight's done, because people might buy into that.
I think I asked before, what social media people would you want to see fight realistically? Like all of
Andrew Tate versus KSI.
Andrew Tate's preoccupied at the moment.
Andrew
To say
Tate,
the least.
before all of this, would have been. I mean, if you put him in like this, he headlines.
Oh, 100%.
The numbers it would do. is
100%.
And
Yeah, 100%.
I actually
That
think
Andrew
Jake
Tate's
Paul,
situation
Jake
is-
Paul
Paul
against
against Andrew Tate would do.
Yeah,
Pretty,
that's
no
correct.
other. Pretty.
I'd pay to
Maybe
win.
He
Fury,
was a
AJ, that kind of
legit
level
he was
is
a
the only thing
legit
that would do it.
kickboxer. So for any of those guys going to the ring against him is
I
some
actually think
serious
Jake Paul would have a good
jeopardy.
chance against Andrew Tate. Jake Paul,
I would make Jake Paul the favourite.
is Jake Paul actually can box. I do feel and he has genuine punch
That's
power.
where he's put so much time, money, resources into it. He has become that I can actually fight. But because he hasn't really had to show it yet, there's still that uncertainty.
And
How
if you
good are
notice, if you notice as well, I think that Andrew Tate, when he was around, we know he's currently incarcerated. Just looking at the screen now, Michael Buffer's getting ready to announce the ring walks. But just quickly on that whole Andrew Tate versus Jake Paul hypothetical fight, the people out there, let us know what you think. But to me, I sense that Andrew Tate, as vociferous and outspoken as he was gearing a lot of his energy towards Logan Paul. He kept saying he wanted to fight Logan Paul. He never really mentioned Jake.
Fact.
And I think there's a reason.
Which one's
for
better?
that.
Is Jake the better
Jake-
one?
Jake-
Jake's
Jake-
by far
Logan
the
was the one who
better.
started
By far the
it,
better.
but then Jake went, I'm taking this seriously, and he's built on it.
I know fighters who sparred Jake Paul and they tell me Jake Paul can actually
they told
fight.
you, personally?
They've told me
Okay.
Jake Paul. I'll tell you off camera. 2 fighters who sparred Jake Paul. One of them was on his last card, and they say he can fight and he can bang. He can really hit. So
Faze Temper's out there.
There's the Faze
He's
clan.
about to start his ring walk.
I'm a big fan of Faze as well. Faze Swag,
Yeah?
obviously. Yeah, I don't really know much about Faze Temper, but I watch like Faze Swag and the Nuke Squad boys. So shout out to Faze.
What do you
boys.
make of his outfit there? It looks like a martial arts.
Yeah,
type of
definitely. He's
thing.
coming, bro. He looks like he's about to work a shift in Benihana.
I rate it though.
Little hibachi thing.
I like it though.
Am I wrong, blood?
I like it though. I'm not gonna lie. I like it.
It's different. It's different.
But yeah,
What do you think of his demeanour going to the ring?
Calm.
That's what he was like last
Calm.
time. Slim was all
Real
wild, and he
calm.
was just so calm.
I like that. I actually like this more than anything.
But he
you
can
know?
be calm here. There's no expectations on him, right? He's not the guy.
There
that
is no
really
pressure. If
has
you lose
to,
it,
yeah,
you're
exactly.
supposed to. If you win,
I didn't
it's
realise
fine.
he's that tall. 6'4".
Yeah, yeah.
He's a big guy,
Who
man.
Faze?
Yeah. 6'4", bro.
Wow.
I mean,
These guys are rich though, innit? Like that, like outside of boxing, they have a very, you know, very nice lifestyle. And it's funny because it's very different to real boxing, where you got a lot of boxers who are really coming from poor backgrounds and they almost fall into boxing.
Like KSI is like multi-millionaire.
Exactly.
In this, and even he's purely in it for ego. He just wants to build that legacy.
I actually
and
respect that.
It's like an internal thing rather than
Here
a
comes
money. Like
KSI.
so many others.
It's really ironic though, because where people say you don't play boxing and you don't choose boxing, they chose boxing. So it's
No, they're in a closed
but
circuit
with respect,
of people.
they don't play boxing though. That's the thing. KSI. I mean, you could see the shape he was in at the weigh. And these guys, they've got professional trainers, and they've whipped themselves into incredible shape. So
They're also within a closed circuit of people, like the early MMA days or early UFC days, I should say. Do you know what I mean? Where they're not in the open market fighting everybody and anybody.
You have to ask yourself why. If you're already rich, if you're already famous, why go through the stresses and strains and the affliction that boxing gives?
Bro, you can't list me 10 men that are multi-millionaires that are not currently sitting down thinking of fresh ways to make peas, bro. Do you know what I mean? The guys like this and lots of everyone from Bill Gates all the way down. Bill Gates is sitting there, the richest man in the world, thinking of ways to make money.
I hear you.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a desire. And a lot of the things.
safer ways to make money.
I've tried to look at the payouts for KSI in his last one with Swarms and Pineda. He got $1 million for that. In this one, the numbers aren't completely accurate, but everything said the same. Where he's getting $1 million guaranteed, Faze is getting 400k guaranteed.
I was going to say guaranteed.
Then you've got
pay-per-view back
that
end.
should be another estimated 1.5 million. KSI gets 70%. KSI could be getting like
But you know,
$2.5 million from this.
You know what I'm going
And
to say as well?
It's boxing, but it's not super hard. You're not putting everything on the line.
It's not just the money though with these guys. I think that they're it's not just the money. This is a very hard sport. Even what they're doing, they're taking real punches. They obviously want to make something of themselves as boxers. They obviously, it's something that they've taken seriously, and they want to do it. Because trust me, if it was just about the money,
you wouldn't go through this. You wouldn't go through this pain.
But the thing is, you see this with a lot of like rappers or all people from people that are successful in all different areas. People have some sort of insecurity. Like you look at like Chris Brown, he's always hanging around with like gang members because he wants to be a tough guy. He doesn't need.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
They've got something in themselves that they want to.
Some form of self-defense.
Some sort of self-defense. Something that they want to quench, and the money isn't enough to. Do you know what I'm saying?
You know what else probably supports that is a lot of these guys. No offense to them, are probably coming from really softer backgrounds.
100%.
So it's almost like
they want their moment to be the tough guy.
Exactly.
Everybody wants the moment to be the tough guy. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But they can be the tough guy within a controlled environment.
Yeah.
They're not in there with AJ or Canelo or a 90s Mike Tyson, some real psycho that's had a rough upbringing. They can, all these guys, and it's nice. It is really, really nice to see this because we don't always see it in boxing. All these guys have shaken hands after their fights. Everybody's been pretty cordial that we've seen so far. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when it's like boxing and it's life and death, it's like it gets really savage.
But I think this should expand to beyond like YouTube. I think it should actually expand to like just TV personalities.
Well, it is. I mean, you've got
Piers Morgan or something like that, and
that's what I was saying.
Simon Jordan or something like that.
What celebrity guys would you guys want to see?
Simon Jordan versus Piers Morgan.
Simon Jordan wins.
Yeah, but those guys are old guys. I don't think anybody would be too interested.
But I'm just saying, like, you could actually.
That's what I was saying. Yeah,
going down that road.
If you put Rebecca Vardy and
Colleen
in a ring, that does numbers.
Yeah,
facts.
Yeah,
fuck the court case. Just put them in a ring. Whoever wins wins.
Facts
for sure.
Facts. I actually would watch that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Colleen.
Do you know about chess boxing? There's a guy.
I've heard of what they call slap box.
There's a YouTuber who he's made this thing. I think it's gone quite big. I haven't seen it, but it's called chess boxing. And you will do a round of boxing, sit down, play chess, go back and do boxing, and it's like a
what? That's it.
It's like it's just a whole new hybrid.
That's
Have you heard of slap boxing?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Dana White's about to take control of that, isn't he?
I've heard of that. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, there's all different sorts of.
But definitely, I would do the chess boxing 100%. That would be fun.
You've got to take blows to the head and then sit down and then figure out how to play a game of chess.
Well, Andrew Tate would be good at that.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a very good chess player, like his dad was. But Andrew Tate is currently got other things going on in his life, far more important than this. Michael Buffer's getting ready to announce the fight.
They must be making money to get him. I heard he
he costs.
He's like 3 or 4 million for one announcement.
Yeah, I heard it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ironic, isn't it, that these guys, not so much these guys, but professional boxers, getting their veins brashed in, and you know what I mean, they're not making it anywhere near the money that a Michael Buffer would make. It doesn't seem fair, really, does it?
They don't generate the money though, do they? You get what you earn. So there's no such thing. Like, I don't think KSI is being overpaid.
No, I'm not talking about KSI. I'm talking about
the ring announcer,
proper professional fighters.
It comes down to like
tradition.
It comes down to like tradition. Like, if you can get into a place where it doesn't feel like a world title. I know this isn't a world title fight, but it doesn't feel like a world title fight if you don't have.
Let's get ready to run.
I've seen so many people go, "Oh my god, they've got Michael Buffer. This is legit. Right,
exactly.
I'm watching."
Yeah,
and they'll watch
that's what
because
I
they're
mean.
like, "Right, he's there. This must be serious."
Exactly.
And then that gets their
That
interest.
let's get ready to rumble that he's trademarked and like it's his own phrase.
Imagine
no one
being a
else can
YouTube
say.
fighter and you've got the chance to step in a ring and you hear that.
Yeah.
If you've grown up with that,
That's like the
for some
Champions
people
League
that would be
music or
amazing.
something,
Yeah, the Champions League
exactly.
music,
Do you know what I mean?
facts.
I feel bad for David Diamante. He's the one that does the undercard ring announcements, and they shuffle him off to the side. So
He does main events now.
Oh, does he?
He does main events now.
Look at him stepping up.
Only for the non-pay-per-views though.
Oh, okay. Still a good job.
For someone like Michael Buffer to do the entire card, he'd be broke by the end of the night.
Right, so we're moments away from the big night, the big fight.
KSI stoppage. Why not?
Yeah, I was going to ask Nick. He said it quite unequivocally.
The one thing I want to see is where KSI, he hasn't shown his ability because it's always stopped before he can really do something. So I want him to actually have a challenge this time and just show.
He needs to fight someone actually a little bit more durable, even if they're not necessarily the best, but someone that can take a little bit more.
It's tough because he keeps just having people pulling out, and then it's like, right, who can you get? But he really needs that person.
What's your predictions? Are we going to see something worthy of a real fight, or
just for the vibes, I'm just going to say upset.
Upset?
Why not?
There's nothing on it.
Yeah, I guess.
Might as well have a go.
Personally speaking, I don't think
I can't see that neither, but you can always hope.
I think it's a case of how good KSI is going to look rather than if he wins. I think it's a case of that.
I can't, like, Kalasawa.
I mean, let's be honest.
So
that last event was a bit of a...
I'm not even a fan of anything that KSI has ever done, like ever. But I have so much respect for him for what he's been able to.
It's ridiculous.
To build. It's insane.
Like #1 albums. Prime is.
Yeah. Never listen to any of his music. Never drunk Prime. Never watched his YouTube videos. Nothing. But.
I must admit, I've never heard any of it.
But to be successful in this many fields is super impressive.
To go from playing Grand Theft Auto to professional boxer, #1 album, best-selling drink.
Obviously, all the sidemen.
What was the album like?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't love it. It's all right.
What was it? Grime?
He went a bit pop.
It's pop. Yeah. It's like he's mixed, but he's got some real dope collabs on it.
Where
though.
he's so,
he's got some real dope collabs.
He makes it where some of it will go on radio, and it's that like it's family friendly, but it's still cool, and
he gets
he knows how he marks.
Yeah, he's quite happy to be known as, like, some people might joke about him and say, like, oh, he's the geeky guy or he's the fat, but he's happy to be the family friendly guy because that's where the money is.
And he, like, his last album, he just got any
popping artist,
just on a collab with
feature, yeah.
I see, yeah.
Well, it's a good blueprint.
Clearly, a guy who knows how to market himself.
100%.
Here we go. The bell's gone. First round, KSI immediately on the front foot.
I like them trunks.
KSI in the pinks, you know.
I like the yellow trunks.
Face temper, southpaw. So,
yeah, can he get his foot? Can he get his foot on the inside and get his right hand going? That's going to be the question. And this. Good combinations.
Face temper's head up in the air. I don't like to see that.
I was going to say that.
When you back up to the ropes, man, you keep that
chin
down.
tucked.
Especially because he's fighting someone shorter than him. I think he's thinking, let me get my chin away from him. But that's where shorter fighters can have the advantage because he's going to put his chin into danger.
This is the thing what I want to see from KSI. If you're going to fight Jake Paul, your level of opposition has to be... there has to be some form of build-up to that. So you can't be fighting bum, and then Jake Paul. There has to be some form of transition.
I think his next fight is the most important because he's really got to be
good attack there.
Yeah, it's good left
someone
hand
that
there.
helps.
We could already see that Temper's gonna try and tie him up as much as possible and try and.
I don't think that's
not
a
engage.
bad strategy though.
Yeah.
Because KSI is going to look to entertain. You know, you just make this fight real boring. Eventually, KSI is going to get desperate and make mistakes.
6 rounds as well. It's a long fight.
Because what it is as well, the onus is on KSI to look good.
Exactly.
So if you're Faze Temper, you can
Stink
use
plays
that to
out.
your advantage a little bit.
I actually
Good
think
counter left there
the
from Faze
amount of
Temper.
counters that KSI is open for, Faze can actually, and I'm not just saying it because I predicted him to win for fans, but I actually think he can take advantage of it. You know, KSI is not even coming in behind a jab. He's just really wailing these shots in.
Again, the orthodox guy, the jab doesn't always work because of the styles. So you've got to maneuver your way in by being smart.
I'm not going to lie.
He would have known that he's orthodox beforehand,
I
right?
really
Oh, that he's
like
southpaw.
Faze's calmness. I really like his. He's not rushing in.
Oh! Just as
There
you
you
say
go.
that, he gets dropped by a left hook.
I've got to
He's
say,
not
I've got
getting
to
up.
say, Shane, he looks
He's
very,
not
very
getting
calm
up.
right now. He looks
He's not
super
getting up,
calm.
bro.
Because we need more. We can't.
It's
we can't end
over.
now.
It's over. No.
Yeah, but he's done.
out.
No,
He's
but
out.
what did you say,
No, but
Laurie?
he's
What did you
out.
say, Laurie? What did you say, Laurie? His chin in the air. He
Yeah,
left
I did,
his
yeah.
chin in the air. You can't leave.
I'll tell
with
you
his
what,
chin in the air.
KSI timed that really, really well.
I've got to be honest again and say that was a very good combination.
Very.
He started it off with
Yep.
a left, sorry, a right.
Yep, came for the
Parry.
right.
He came over with the left hook.
But I think it's almost a bit of misdirection because I think that was a feint with the right. He didn't actually put all his weight in.
No, he threw it.
Sidemen boys celebrating.
Not the one that knocked him out. The one that got his hands dropped. He got Faze's hands to drop, and then he came around with the left foot, which knocked him
It's a
out.
good combination.
Very
It's one
good.
that you throw against the southpaw. It's well known that the left hook, especially over the top,
Yeah.
against the southpaw.
Again, these long, rangy
traditionally, a
fighters.
lot of people will say it's the right hand.
Yeah.
But what he did is he used the right hand as a setup,
Yeah.
and he came round the top.
Yeah, out
with
of
left
the
hook.
sight, out
Yeah,
of the sight
out
of
of
the
it, yeah.
opponent. Because
again, go on.
the right
That is a
hand-
very impressive win.
Very
And
much
here
so.
We go with
Here you go, the
traditional-
trademark press-ups in the ring.
When he's trained for a southpaw the whole time and then refused to change, you can tell that was on purpose. That's not just a fluke.
Yeah.
He's meaning that kind of stuff.
I mean, he was wailing that shot the whole fight, and Laurie did notice it in the first minute or so that he's leaving with his chin up.
Yeah.
KSI would have noticed that, and he would have just thought, at some point, this is going to land.
Temper's got such, he's so tall, he's got such a long reach, his arms are really long, so when he's holding his hands up, there's a lot of space to get around the back of his
Exactly.
fist. If you can just pop that combination, and that's exactly what KSI did.
What he's got to do, though, and I would say Faze, in situations like that, it's very important to almost not back up and smother
Yeah.
the work that KSI is doing. Don't allow him to get that leverage into the shot. I know it might sound crazy.
It's very counterintuitive
Yeah,
to
but you
what
have
your
to actually
natural...
go towards the punch.
Yeah.
Because you don't get the
Shorten the
leverage behind
distance.
the punch.
Yeah,
Look
for
at this.
sure.
There he goes. The right hand, and then the left hook over the top.
And again,
That's-
what you said earlier, closing his eyes. Look at this. As the punch comes in, closes his eyes. Can't see the second punch.
Literally.
You know what I mean? You have to eat that
it's
punch with the foot. Yep, it's the panic. You have to keep your eyes open and know where it's coming from. No idea that second punch is coming.
Exactly, not at all.
I do think KSI's got an issue now, though.
Yeah.
The next person he fights, you can't fight Slim.
Yep.
I don't know where you go from here because
He'll
You've
figure
got-
something out.
Why can't he fight Slim?
it's too good. KSI need if you've got one more fight and then Jake Paul,
Slim hasn't impressed
you
enough.
need the next fight to go
be
3-4
training.
rounds. You can't have another done in 40 seconds.
No, but I think Slim could take him a few rounds.
No, I don't think
I-
so.
Not based on
The
what he
way-
showed tonight.
The way
is
that
the issue.
Slim struggled against Temper to actually cause any real damage. If KSI's put him down like that,
And I
Slim's
also
not doing
think-
much to KSI.
Why I agree with you is I also think a lot of the mistakes I actually saw Faze make, I saw Slim make
Yeah.
also, with the hands dropping down, chin up in the
Not
air.
that Slim was bad, but he hasn't impressed me tonight, and I wanted to be impressed for them.
No, but
Slim beat Temper in the second round, and KSI's laid him out in
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Who
I must admit, I disagree. I think I still think that Slim. I'm not saying he's going to beat KSI, obviously, but I think that's a decent fight, and I do think that. See, the thing is,
I mean, it's a good fight. I don't think it's what KSI needs
Yeah.
for that. For the
Well, it's a-
build up to Jake Paul. That's
no,
not,
but what I'm saying is Slim is a palpable step up from Faze Temper.
Yeah, but
yeah,
not
but
the
I still
gap.
think he goes in the first
not
round.
not the gap, but that you need to take
Is that
between.
KSI? Who's that? His mum?
Yeah. Who I think he should fight, and it might sound a bit silly, but he actually should look at fighting one of Jake Paul's old opponents. You know, not obviously not the ones that he's knocked out in one round.
No, but none of those guys are better than Slim, are they?
I mean, you can't tell me that Tyron Woodley
Woodley's
isn't
more of a
better than
challenge.
Slim. He's much
Even
better
though he's
than
washed,
Slim.
he's more of a
Tyron
challenge.
Woodley's done, bro.
He must be better than Slim.
No, I disagree. Tyron Woodley is.
But I
You know,
don't think
Ask,
there's any.
ask the
who
people
I-
in the chat, who do they rather see KSI fight? Tyrone Woodley or Slim next?
Listen, I'll ask the question by all means. People out there watching,
Let's see what they say.
who would you rather see? I'm telling you now, I would much rather see Slim than Tyron. Tyron Woodley is,
From
what
an
is he, 40 odd years
From
old?
entertainment,
He's been-
I'd rather see that. But if you're going from what KSI needs, that's not.
He's not
That's
going
not
to
what he
knock
needs.
Tyron Woodley out in the first round. He's not going to do that. KSI.
The most
Yeah,
important
words.
thing for KSI
He is
to
not
win
going
his
to knock
next fights.
Tyron in the first
I
round.
think you're overestimating Tyron Woodley.
No, but Jake Paul couldn't even knock Tyron Woodley out in the first round.
Okay, listen, maybe not in the first round, but he would knock him out. I've got
Potentially,
absolutely
but
no-
but this is my point. If he can do rounds, to me, like that's what you want to see. You want to see that he can do rounds because he's definitely not going to knock Jake Paul out in the first round. So you got to
It's
build
no
some
good having
form
fights
of.
45 seconds long all the time and then bang, Jake Paul.
I
Exactly.
would rather see Slim. It's a very sellable fight. They both fought on the card
I
tonight.
mean, his last fight was
To me-
swarms. I mean, you don't go from that to Jake Paul. It doesn't make
If
sense
he was
to
to
me.
fight Slim, I think that's almost you go Slim, then you go the fight you plan next, and then Jake Paul.
yeah,
You almost make
okay,
it
but
4
I'd
round
much
3.
rather see
But
him
it's
in
whether
with
he wants to
Slim
do
than
that.
Tyron. Tyron Woodley is completely shot to pieces. Completely. He was in the UFC, and to
Well,
me,
that's the challenge now. So we're gonna have to find someone either Slim or someone better than Slim, but not as good as Jake Paul, and
Yeah.
try and assess
I
who
don't think there's
sits in
anyone
that
in
gap.
the YouTube game that helps him now. But then do you go? See, he's gone pro with Pineda, but do you go proper?
Does it
pro?
go Tommy Fury?
But then do you take the risk?
I can actually
Tommy-
find a pro
Tommy-
that I would actually wouldn't mind
Do you
seeing
think Tommy
him
Fury is
fight.
better than Slim, but not as good as Jake Paul?
It's not a bad shout.
That could be a shout.
I wouldn't fight Tommy Fury.
Why
yeah,
not?
but the Tommy Fury and Jake Paul fight is going to happen, isn't it? I think.
I would actually fight. I would fight because Anderson Silva just beat him. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He's a professional, and he just fought Anderson Silva and lost. So I would pick KSI to win that fight.
Not Tyron.
Is he better than Slim?
Who? Anderson
Chavez Jr.
Of course, he's better than Slim. He has to be better than Slim.
When he's not on drugs or other stuff.
But yeah, you're right. It is, especially because we've seen a few fights tonight that are unanimous decision, a couple of good knockouts, overall a pretty good card, and
Well-
one of the more underwhelming fights, again, not necessarily because of KSI's participation, is his own fight, and it tends to keep happening.
It keeps
that
happening.
he is the most underwhelming fight, not because of himself, but because of the level of opponent.
Before this, he was talking about if Tom Zanetti won, he was talking about Tom Zanetti could
Yeah.
be next.
What's-
Him and Tom Zanetti are worlds apart.
What's
Yeah.
the fans actually saying in terms of like their response?
Well, they're not impressed with Woodley. They're saying it's calling him a pensioner, get sparked, which is what I say. That wouldn't even be. I wouldn't even want to watch that, to be honest. Tyron Woodley needs to be. He's one of those fighters that needs to be saved from himself. He's just gone on too long, and he's just become fodder.
What about
Speaking
Shannon
of Chisora, there's Chisora there. Shannon Briggs. Shannon Briggs is about 50.
Briggs? He's a former
But you know what
boxer.
I'd say though? Okay, you got to take into account the level of opponent, but this guy, seriously, he's got skills.
Yeah, 100%.
KSI?
Yeah,
Of
he
course.
But you're just at a point. You're just at that point, like you are. Even with professional fighters, you get to this point where a young Mike Tyson or young anyone is laying out all these fighters, and they need rounds. They need to, because they're targeting someone that is really good. They do need someone that's a bit of a challenge that can take them into
I think
deep
Dylan
water.
would have gone. I think Dylan would have been beaten, but he would have gone longer today.
Yeah. Maybe it's going to have to be Dylan for the next one.
But I don't think he would. I don't think
That's-
KSI would agree to it because Dylan
That's
never
true. Yeah.
seemed interested.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then is Dylan just not
What
interested
about
again?
Idris Virgo? Some people are suggesting him.
It's a big
He
jump
got a
up,
win
isn't it?
against. I didn't see that
Against
fight. That
Taylor.
was before we
Taylor,
came
he,
on.
he comfortably
It's a
did
big.
Taylor.
It's a big jump. A big jump, though, isn't it? Is that?
It's weird because Virgo he's not a massive seller for it, and it's
Yeah.
KSI might have to decide: does he want to sell it?
That's
or
the
does
Venn
he want the
diagram.
fight?
He needs a good quality opponent and someone that can
Because
sell.
Pineda wasn't a name,
I'll
but
tell you an
Pineda was sold
opponent
because
who-
it's.
Does he fight Riley?
They won't fight
No,
Riley.
no, he
They'll
can-
never-
What Riley?
Vidal.
You must be crazy.
Now, Vidal Riley's a legit
He's a
boxer.
professional.
Yeah, with a very good amateur background.
What were you gonna say, Laurie? What name?
Man. KSI versus Lickle Man.
KSI versus Arms Corleone.
No chance. He'll destroy Arms.
We're watching
He looks so
KSI
calm.
being
And, like, it
interviewed.
looks like
he's barely broken
He
sweat,
looks like
innit?
he's gone for a little jog. That's
Yeah,
it.
he does.
Well, he's only done 2 minutes of work.
And his last, we call it 3 fights, have ended like this. And
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where are you going to bridge that gap?
But the thing is, you
now
can say
and
the
Jake
same
Paul?
for Jake Paul, though, because
I mean, he went rounds with Anderson Silva.
But Jake
he
Paul's
went rounds.
Jake
with-
Paul's ready for the KSI fight now. If you went right, that's it. He's good.
Yeah.
KSI. Needs
oh, I'll
a
tell
bit
you,
more.
yeah, you just thrown that up. What about that? Anderson Silva versus KSI.
He said that.
I said that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he
oh,
said it,
right,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, what about that? Okay.
I mean,
How
I
old
w-
is Anderson Silva though? I don't.
yeah, he's old.
He's like 47.
But he
like
fought-
mid,
Isn't
late
he,
40s.
isn't he older than Woodley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
the, you know?
because Woodley's beat
got
up
more
and
miles on the
knocked out.
clock.
Yeah,
You got more miles.
You
on
can
the
be
clock.
you can be younger than somebody in boxing.
Yeah.
Anderson's
Be
not a
lot
bad
older.
shout, but I think that's because there's not an obvious one now. That you're not going to
Yeah.
get the perfect guy. You just need to. You
And
need to
KSI won't
pick
want to
which
take a
angle
Jake
you want
Paul
to take.
older opponent. I
Yeah,
don't know if he
it's
would.
a little bit, especially
Yeah.
if you lose that, you
Exactly.
No, but what they often do in boxing, well, you know yourself, is it's a comparator, isn't it?
No, I know,
So-
but I'm saying like for his branding, he'll want someone different. They're the two guys are trying to one up each other.
He'd
from
almost
from
look like
career.
he's still behind.
No,
Exactly.
Jake Paul again.
but if you knock him out quicker,
That's it. There are
then that's
there's
the-
positives to it. It's just there's a few different
Oh,
approaches.
it's a
he can
Fournier.
take.
This is Joe Fournier, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so it looks like this could be the next fight. Fournier versus KSI. KSI for me. I've seen Fournier fight.
But that's weird because then if Fournier was your backup for this one, I know that he
So-
can fight Dylan, but then
So, by
Taking
judging
your
by
back
this
upstairs is like a
exchange, it
downgrade.
looks like this is what we're going to see next. And I'll tell you right now.
I love that he's
fancy-
come up like it's
Yeah,
impromptu,
exactly.
but obviously it's
was planned.
Planned because it's my show, so not my, but it's
And I'll
KSI's
tell
show.
you what, I've seen Joe Fournier. I'm sure you have as well. He's not very good. I would fancy KSI.
he's done a
to
couple
win.
of these YouTube ones as well,
Yeah.
and he's never.
I mean,
never impressed.
again, I just don't think that's the right. I
don't
think
think
if
I
he
don't think
goes
Fournier
in
helps him.
Fournier and then fights Fournier and then goes and fights Jake Paul, I would pick Jake Paul to absolutely
He
iron
beats Fournier,
KSI.
but it doesn't help the goal of the whole point of him fighting this is to progress to Jake Paul.
If KSI and Jake Paul fight, to me, based on what I've seen, Jake Paul knocks KSI out. In my opinion, based on what I've seen, both dudes fight, and I know more about KSI career, like outside of boxing, than I do Jake Paul. And I'd actually want KSI to win.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't think he's gonna win. I think
Who would
Jake
you
Paul
wanna win?
wins.
I'm fully KSI.
Okay.
It has to be KSI. He's from
Just
the UK,
checking.
isn't
Yeah,
it? So you have to go
I
with
think
KSI.
we're building up to that KSI versus Jake Paul.
I think that will come at the end
extravaganza.
of the year.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure what will come in the middle.
But I would rather see Slim rather than Joe Fournier, to be honest. I just think that Slim versus.
I mean, you're a
Fournier
big
doesn't
Slim
do-
fan right
Fournier
now.
doesn't do much.
No, not really. It's just I can see that fight though. I
Slim
can
just
see
looked
that.
so good last fight, and then he looked so average
He-
today.
he
So
was
that's
still-
the problem.
On YouTube terms, he was good,
Yeah,
but I'm still disappointed in what I've seen from him.
yeah,
I
yeah. It's a tough one.
Or I'd see KSI versus Salt Pappy. I like Salt Pappy, man. I like his skills.
think
But he's too small.
there's a
Yeah.
gap.
Small.
There's a gap in terms of skill level.
But I'm telling you now, people, if these two fight, KSI versus Fournier, even though Fournier is a purported professional fighter, to me, KSI's skill set is on a different level to his.
Oh,
and
bang.
I think the same, and I always think Fournier
By
doesn't
four.
sell it, so it's almost like there's
Yeah, there's no point.
what's the benefit from it?
Yeah,
they'll sell it on the fact that Fournier is a proper professional fighter.
so was Pineda.
Yeah, exactly.
in the
Yeah.
YouTube-
Not all. Listen, not all professional
Because
fighters
of
are
not
good
at all.
fighters.
Fournier
Not
is
at
still
all.
just seen as the nightclub promoter turned boxer rather than
So
the
there we go.
boxer.
They're
Here we go.
facing off. So this is going to be next. We've seen it here.
It's very difficult to watch, though, isn't it? Like,
Is it?
I mean,
I hope it isn't this, put it that way.
It,
No, but
it
no,
definitely is. It
it
definitely,
definitely is.
KSI does not put. He's in control of all the security and everyone that comes up there. This doesn't happen without.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
this.
point.
Do you know what I mean? It's my show. You would not be here getting past all my security to stand. Nor would I give you the time of day if I wasn't allowing you to use
And
me for
the one
promotion.
thing we do know, it'll be a sellout like tonight.
Oh, 100%.
Right, so we're going to wrap things up. We've seen KSI, we've seen Slim, we've seen Salt Pappy. Got to say, starting with you, Nick, who was the most impressive fighter that you saw tonight?
Salt Pappy. I'm even called him a proper name. I just don't want to see Faze temper at any point again, unfortunately, unless it's... I just don't want to see him again, to be honest with you. But yeah, no,
So
yeah.
you're going Salt Pappy.
Salt Pappy, aka
You call him
Mr. Soul,
Salt- yeah.
aka Mr. Soul, aka Sir
He was
Soul.
so good that
Do you know
you're
what I'm
calling
saying?
him by
That's
his
it,
proper
bro.
name.
Do you know what I'm saying? Man, them don't know. I'm 1/8 Filipino. Do you know what I'm saying? That's my guy.
Oh, is it?
Nah, I'm
Oh.
making that up still. But yeah, that's my
I
guy.
was going to say. Okay, Shane, most impressive fighter of the night for
I
you?
think KSI. I think the finish, that's a real pro finish. You know, that's textbook. That just shows the progression. And I actually do think when I look at KSI, even though sometimes he looks rough around the edges, he is a fighter who displays a lot of pro attributes.
Yeah.
You know, that finish there, you don't do that if you're not spending time and time in the gym. You know, you got to look, he's at long range and lands a left hook, clean pinpoint, and knocks the dude out after setting up with that right hand.
Kane, most impressive fighter of the
Agree
night?
with both. Salt Pappy was most entertaining. KSI was the best.
Facts.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to sit on the fence, as is my right, given as I'm hosting the show. I'm going to go a split between Salt Pappy. I thought that counter shot he threw was very, very impressive. And yep, you got to say that KSI's finish, where he threw the right hand, created the space to land the left hook over the top and finish the guy, one punch finish, was equally impressive. So I'm going to give it to both of them.
I thought you were a Slim super fan, though, aren't you?
Well, no, I like
got a
Slim.
back
He was impressive in spots tonight, but you know what? Let's give some credit to Zanetti, man. He held his own for a while. Tough.
Yeah, he's somebody that he's
Tough
lost,
guy.
but you'd watch him
Getting thrown
again.
into
Yeah,
the first
yeah,
one,
yeah,
there's
yeah. He
respect.
did-
You weren't good, but
Yeah.
there was respect
Yeah.
for what you did.
Who was the worst on the night?
Swarms.
As they say in boxing, he let his balls hang.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah,
in
worst of
boxing.
the night, Laurie.
Yeah.
Who was the worst of the night, in your opinion? Gotta be Swarms.
So even you,
Yeah, I
be
mean,
Swarms.
Swarms, that fight was ridiculous.
it might be because you didn't see it, but Faith, the one that Elle Brook fought,
Oh, really?
she was up there with.
Yeah, okay.
Elle was good, but she wasn't.
I'm not convinced by Swarms at all. I just think he's a load of bag of noise.
I think
the
it's good to
man's
have some
jumping
people like
around.
that, though, just for the.
No, but I mean, the
entertainment.
guy's jumping around. I mean, the fight was inconclusive. To be fair to him, it was a punch rather than a head.
It was just
But
celebrating
even
getting out of the
so,
ring.
man, the guy wasn't
Exactly.
the doctor. I think they just gave him a win, basically, innit?
I think
Because of
so.
what happened to him last time, they just wanted to give him a win. But anyway, guys, we're going to round it up now. Thanks very much for watching. This was another DR Sports production, boxing this time. Like, share, subscribe, man. Subscribe to DR Sports. We're covering a lot of different sports across the board. We're doing boxing, football, motor racing. We've got more fights coming up. We're hoping to do the Eubank Liam Smith fight next week, so watch out for that. There'll be promos out coming out during the week. And you want to say anything in passing, in closing?
No, I just like, obviously I'm getting roped. Now I know more of the storylines. I'm getting roped into this a little bit more. But yeah, I love boxing. So, anything that I believe genuinely will grow the sport of boxing. So anything that's good for boxing is good for me.
Okay. In closing, Shane, anything you want to say?
No, man, I'm just thanks for having me again. I mean, it was an entertaining night of boxing, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I mean, it's good, man. Good to watch.
And last word to our YouTube expert and social media
I
expert.
came for the
Kane.
vibes. I got vibes. I'm happy.
There you go. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon.